ó ní ẹ wá wo sinimá o lóríta, ẹ wá wo sinimá o, wèrè ló ń wàásù, ẹ wá wòran, ẹ wá wo sinimá o lóríta, ẹ wá wo sinimá o, wèrè ló ń wàásù, ẹ wá wòran.
Jesus, no hard feelings, but I am not ready to love you as much as I love my mother, as much as I love my siblings, as much as I love my family members.
What happened there is that the guy is suffering from NPD. And what is NPD? NPD is narcissistic personality disorder. And we will prove it to you what it means and why the guy is suffering from it. He might not know. To be honest, a lot of people that are suffering from that disease don't know. Ẹlòmíì nínú ìbínú ẹ̀ ní kíní ẹ̀ ti ń jẹyọ, nínú ìwà ẹ̀ ní kíní ẹ̀ ti ń jẹyọ, ìwà tó ń fúnra rẹ̀ ń wù ló máa fi ṣe rẹ̀ léṣe. Ẹni tó wà ní ipò ọlọ́gbọ́n tó wà ní ipò adarí tó ń ṣinú bí tó ń ṣe gángangan ọ̀ tó ń ṣìwàwù sáwọn èèyàn ọ̀ tó jẹ́ pé the way tó ṣe máa ń ṣe sáwọn èèyàn kò ní good manners. So those kind of people, a lot of them in Nigeria, we have worked with some we have walked away from. They are suffering from what we call NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. Ó máa ń fẹ́ a máa sọ̀rọ̀ ara ẹ̀ bí ẹni tó ti achieve, ẹni tó ní. Ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́ bá débi tó ń gbé bí ní Canada, ẹ rí pé inú yàrá kan ló ń gbé, ẹ rí pé iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe kò wọ́ọ̀tì nǹkan tó pera ẹ̀.
Ibi tí mo wà tẹ́lẹ̀ tá a fi ń ráyè ṣe bá a ṣe ń ṣe ó yàtọ̀ sí ibi tí mo relocate wá ń sìn torí wípé nǹkan tá à ń deal pẹ̀lú níbí báyìí ló ṣokùnfà pé ó máa ń busy fún wa ní winter. Nítorí ìdí èyí ńkọ́ ìjọ́ tá a bá ti ráyè ṣe live video náà la máa ṣe. Tẹ́ bá rí ojú mi bó ṣe rí ń sìn, mo ṣe dé láti 12-hour night shift ní nínú òtútù, so mo ṣe dé lẹ́yìn.
They have what they call an Ogundele compound, but that they came from Ibara in Abeokuta, so he was trying to hype his family that they are from a very rich lineage, and in trying to hype his family, he said his grandfather has chains of businesses.
As a matter of fact, my granddad was the owner of Queen of Sheba Hotel tó wà ní Ọ̀rẹ́. Those were the days tó jẹ́ wípé ìta la máa ń sùn tí ò sí olè tó máa wọlé. I am telling you the basic truth.
And this is a very interesting part. Chains of businesses. You saw that we highlighted that part. Chains of businesses. Meaning that his grandfather was very rich to the extent that he could put his grandchild in a very expensive nursery and primary school. The first thing is understanding. Companionship starts at the green age of relationship. Then at the middle age of relationship, you use understanding. And at the twilight age, then companionship comes back. But unfortunately for Rotimi Daniel, everything is just astray. As he's getting it wrong on religion, he's getting it wrong on relationship. Ọlọ́run má sọ wá di aṣiwèrè. Ṣùgbọ́n tó wá ti bú Jésù tẹ́lẹ̀ náà, Ọlọ́run má ẹ̀ka ìwà rí jálajàla.
Bíbélì ní wípé ẹ tújú ká torí wípé mo ti ṣẹ́gun ayé. Ogun tó wá ń jẹ ẹ̀yin Christian tẹ́ ẹ fi ń gbàgbà kó àdúrà ṣé ogun ọ̀run ni? Meanwhile, ẹni tó lòun ti ṣẹ́gun ayé náà ló dá ogun yẹn sáyé o.
Now, what does that say? It's part of the key characteristic of narcissistic personality disorder, which say is a mental health condition marked by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy, often masking fragile self-esteem and vulnerability, leading to significant personal and social difficulties. It's somebody that cannot even relate. He cannot even send somebody to go and investigate the story for him in Ekiti. The person born good. He couldn't take care of the person. He couldn't get it straight.
Orúkọ mi ni Kọ́láwọlé Tèmítọ́pẹ́.
Kọ́láwọlé Tèmítọ́pẹ́.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ẹ̀yin fúnra ilé pè mí. Tẹ́ sọ wípé ẹ ní àwọn kankan tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣàlàyé pé ẹ̀yin ni ó lọ ṣe interview ní ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá ìyàwó prophet Olúwalọ pé ohun tá à ń gbọ́ ní abẹ́lẹ̀ yẹn pé ẹ̀yin ni pẹ́yìn àti obìnrin kan lẹ́jọ́ wà ń bẹ̀ ok báwo lẹ ṣe lọ síbẹ̀ báwo lẹ ṣe débẹ̀ ta ló rán yín lọ bẹ̀.
ṣẹ́rí ìgbà tí màá ti ìyàwó kọ̀ọ̀kan ti wá mọ́ra lórí kéèsì bàbá Olúwalọ yẹn ẹ̀mọ̀ àwọn kóòtù ní tí n bá ti fẹ́ wá wo ọmọ mi wọ́n ní kí n lọ wo ní orphanage kí n ra nǹkan fún kí n lọ wo kán lè mọ̀ pé mo tó bàbá ṣe so wá fún mi 15,000 kí n lọ fi wo. That was the first and then second time.
But you look at his achievement now, it does not commensurate with what he's talking about. Even you look at the school, secondary school he graduated on, Umani Alaga, which is formerly Songo High School at Ibadan North. I know Ibadan North, local government, is a very populist area. Then you look at him talking about, they took him out of Loyola College because of proximity so that he can go to Methodist. And you ask yourself, why did he take him to that Methodist that is always crying about, talking about, singing their anthem? He can't sing Umani Alaga anthem, but he can't sing that other school that the infrastructure is suffering now that needs intervention. Though. Maybe he should have even face his school, his alma mater, instead of abusing men of God, abusing pastors. He would have just taken that as a project to rebuild the fallen walls of Umani Alaga High School, or Ibadan. That is how irritating you are, that your arrogance is irritating. And she made mention of something. She said you are narcissistic, and we're going to tell a lot of people there's what we call narcissistic personality disorder, and we're going into that fully now. And your own video, we are going to use it to educate you about yourself, because Igbami, Elumi, one narcissistic, won't suffer from that narcissistic personality disorder. Elumi, I don't suffer, long poju. The only thing pé kíyàn yẹra fún wọn. Ẹlòmíì lówó ó dẹ̀ rò wípé torí pé òun fáwọn èèyàn lówó òun lè ṣìwà wò, àwọn èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ gbà wọn bẹ́ẹ̀, àwọn èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ dáríjì òun. Those are people that are suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. Ẹlòmíì fi pé nǹkan tó ń ṣe àṣegbé kò sẹ́nibọ̀dì tó gbọ́dọ̀ bí òun. And that's what you are particularly doing. You abuse elderly men of God, you curse them, you lambast them, you talk them down, a máa sọ yẹn ká tó wá sọ nǹkan tí èpè tó ń ṣe ká wá sọ bó ṣe ń ràn ẹ́, bó ṣe ń bá ẹjà. Ìdí dẹ̀ ni pé ara èpè yẹn náà lélẹ̀ láwọn tó kójọ wọ́n kọjú ìjà sí ẹ báyìí sìn. Ara èpè yẹn náà ni pé wọ́n ní òdìbóbìnrin gbélé. Number 2, àfi kó máa kọnu síyàwó níyàwó kó máa slide into their DM according to what 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1 to 9 tó sọ, particularly verse 6, you slide into them trying to look for a glorious offering, and you are still coming out to abuse our pastors. Pé wọ́n ṣe ṣìnà, wọ́n bóbìnrin sùn, wọ́n bọ́mọ kékeré sùn, wọ́n bá àgbàlagbà sùn. Ìwọ dẹ̀rí dẹ̀ ní ethical garment yẹn, ní ethical pedigree yẹn láti sọ kí n ṣerú ẹ̀ lẹ́yẹ kó tẹ sọ. You are just one guy working somewhere far away in Canada, you know, working in a factory or whatever. You know, you are being paid, and you want to always make yourself look like somebody that came out from a rich home. But we're going to prove it to you that you are suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, and it is eating you deep. And that's why these people can see you clearly and come out and define you and also deform you. Because what I saw is highly deforming. Hopefully, your méjì sọ́ra wọn. Ìwé èèyàn bíi tiẹ̀ wọ́n pọ̀ nù ayé àti pàdé wọn àtúpàdé kan last year. Àpàdé wọn every time là ń pàdé wọn. Tá à ń rí wọn, wọ́n forí èèyàn méjì sọ́ra. Wọ́n dẹ̀ máa gbé láàrin. That is called divide and rule. You know, it's unfortunate.
Ṣebí wọ́n ní $500 per month náà ni kò wá san sí tó rí san. Ìwọ tó tiẹ̀ lè gbóbìnrin gbé. Rí obìnrin kankan bá gbé, and you have the guts to come online to talk about someone that lived with her husband, and because it didn't work out between them, they both went their separate ways, but they are still friends. They do talk to each other. They are still co-parenting. Bọ́ ọmọ ẹyọ kan tó bí tí baby mama ẹbí fún ọmọ ẹyọ kan tó bí láyé lọ́run, ó tún ní kan bá ẹ pa.
Wọ́n ní o lè san child benefits pé wọ́n ìyàwó ẹ̀ your baby mama. That means you are not even legally married. Then you have a child, which is not, it might not be your mistake, but you are now coming to defend yourself that you cannot live with a woman. It's not about children, it's about companionship. Then be looking for them. Kakiri, I want to have companion with. O lè lọ sí India kó lọ wá wọn, o lè lọ sí Afghanistan. You can even go as far back as Venezuela and since it's not arrest Maduro. You can go and look for a woman you can share companionship with. Kawa Wubuya, you are talking about olden days. Then wọ́n máa kọ́ra, wọ́n máa forí gbá ògiri lórí nǹkan tí ó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ kan ayé àtijọ́, you know, companionship, yes, companionship initially, then in between there is responsibility, there is understanding, then at the tail end of life, companionship is like a round figure. So you can't even pay, you are running away from paying benefits for your child benefit and all that. So what do you stand for? Who are you? And you're talking about peace, equity, and justice. You're talking about humanity. When they use humanity, what kind of a life is that? Of humanity, of slide into our married women's DM. Why can't you just answer all these allegations and then come clean so that we can continue to appreciate what you are doing? Why should you come and be harassing people, talking about their ills when you are highly filthy and you have a lot to clean about yourself? And we are coming here to correct you. We are not coming here to do anything. We are using what they've said about you to analyze you, because for a long time we've watched you and we decide to let you be, but because you seem to you are not going to go easily. So we're going to tell you who you are, and if you want to know more about yourself, we'll come out with more.
As far as this page is concerned, we have confirmed it severally that Irototo, Bible àti Quran ò sí. However, we are not pushing people to say that, oh yeah, oh, ẹ lọ bọ Ṣàngó, ẹ lọ bọ Bàtálá, ẹ lọ bọ Ọya. No! If you are lucky that they are still doing it in your household, you are safe, because they will tell you the truth about your lineage. But fún àwa tí àgbọ́njú bá gbogbo kìíní lágbolé wa, we are standing and promoting truth, love, and humanity. Because when you farabalẹ̀, study the Bible, not just reading it with the sentiments, tí wọ́n gbélé wa lórí ní kékeré, you will see a lot of lies, you will see a lot of contradictions. Báwo ni the same Jesus ṣe máa sọ̀rọ̀ láàárọ̀ tó dẹ̀ máa dalẹ̀ tó máa change? I made a video. I said, Jesus, no hard feelings, but I am not ready to love you as much as I love my mother, as much as I love my siblings, as much as I love my family members. And why did I say so? My sister, if he co answer me, the only reason why Jesus, according to those stories, those fictional stories, the reason why he accepted the calling of the Father is because he loved the Father so much that he would bring down all his glory, would do everything, and come to planet Earth. Now, why would the same Jesus, who loved the Father so much, will be the same person telling us in Matthew 10:34 that we should hate, that he is bringing division, he is bringing sword instead of peace?
Who is Rotimi Daniel really? let's look at him from the perspective of the kind of person he is, and from how he poured himself out, and from what people, his own people, Faja movement, said about him, the testament, and the kind of validation they gave him. Even from our own private investigation, you know, the kind of thing they talk about him, the kind of thing they spoke about him, you know, let's ask ourselves. If you look at what he has been doing all over, if you watch his video, we have more than, at least right now, we have more than 30 of his video we downloaded and we've analyzed him. I particularly have been looking at him in the past 2 months because, to be honest with you, Professor Gbandebayo warned me not to say anything. Wọ́n dídí pè mí nígbà tó ń gbọ́ bí mo fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan pé kí n má ṣe anything lọ́pọ̀ àwọn ti fẹ́ jọ sùn Ọlọ́run. That's what he said to me, that Ọlọ́run ló máa ṣe ẹnìkan tó súnmọ́ ló sọ, because I was, at the time, a lot of people started calling me that my name was mentioned, that I am the one bringing all sorts of people on my platform, that most of these people are destroying things, they are making people to go astray. From what I know and from what I do, yes, we interview people, we celebrate prophets, but we celebrate them based on what we know them for. And the moment there is a change in that orientation, the moment it appears that they are not on that spiritual principle that they espoused, then we will take our leave. A lot of them like that we discovered and we just take our leave. I want to tell you what I noticed. In the book of Isaiah verse 26 verse 10, Ọlọ́run sọ nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀. I read it both in English and in Yoruba. Màá kà ní èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì àti èdè tiwa. Ó ní èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì, ó ní let favour be shewed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. You know? Yorùbá ní ó ní bí a bá fi ojú rere hàn ènìyàn búburú, bí a bá fi ojú rere hàn ènìyàn búburú, kì yóò kọ́ òdodo ní ilẹ̀ ìdúróṣinṣin, ni òun yóò sì hùwà àìṣòótọ́. Ó ní èèyàn búburú ò ní kọ́ òdodo, ó ní ilẹ̀ ìdúróṣinṣin ló tún máa hùwà àìṣòótọ́, meaning that kò sí level tá a fi lè dá sí èèyàn búburú, ó sì máa hùwà tí kò yẹ kó hùwà, á sì hùwà ẹ̀ torí inú ẹ̀jẹ̀ ló wà. Then ó ní kì yóò sì rí ọlá ńlá Olúwa, that is one. Ó ní Olúwa ní verse 11, Olúwa ọwọ́ rẹ̀ gbé sókè, wọn kì yóò rí, ṣùgbọ́n wọn ó rí, ojú ó sì tì wọ́n nítorí ìlara wọn sí àwọn ènìyàn. Nítòótọ́ iná àwọn ọ̀tá rẹ̀ yóò jẹ wọ́n run, iná àwọn ọ̀tá rẹ̀ yóò jẹ wọ́n run, iná àwọn ọ̀tá Ọlọ́run ló máa jẹ wọ́n run. Iná ìtara sí iṣẹ́ rere, iná ìtara ìbínú sí àwọn tọ́lọ́run tanná ayọ̀ sí, àwọn tó ń bínú sí iṣẹ́ Olúwa. So àwa wò pé kí ló ń ṣe bọ́ọ̀yì tó ń pè ní Rotimi Daniel, kí ló tó ń ṣe báyìí, tó ń ṣépè, tó ń gégùn, tó bọ́ sórí ìlà tó yẹ pé á gba voice àwọn èèyàn, á lóun change voice wọn, àwọn original people ò lè wá sọ̀rọ̀. Tí o bá ní ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run ṣe nǹkan fún ẹ tó dẹ̀ mọ̀ bí nǹkan yẹn jẹ́ níhùn, then use your voice, use your name. Ṣé pé gbogbo nǹkan tiẹ̀ o máa masquerade ẹ̀ ni, á kà pamọ́ kò yẹ bá àṣírí wá tú táwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀ wá ń jáde láti sọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn tó jẹ́ sìn. Now what happened there is that the guy is suffering from NPD. And what is NPD? NPD is narcissistic personality disorder, and we will prove it to you what it means and why the guy is suffering from it. He might not know, to be honest. A lot of people that are suffering from that disease don't know. Ẹlòmíì nínú ìbínú ẹ̀ ní kíní ẹ̀ ti ń jẹyọ, nínú ìwà ẹ̀ ní kíní ẹ̀ ti ń jẹyọ. Ìwà tó ń fúnra rẹ̀ ń wù ló máa fi ṣe ra ẹ̀ léṣe. Ẹni tó wà ní ipò ọlọ́gbọ́n, tó wà ní ipò adarí, tó ń ṣinú bí, tó ń ṣe gángangan, ọ̀ tó ń ṣìwàwù sáwọn èèyàn, ọ̀ tó jẹ́ pé the way tó ṣe máa ṣe sáwọn èèyàn, kò ní good manners. So those kind of people, a lot of them in Nigeria, we have worked with some we have walked away from. They are suffering from what we call NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissistic personality disorder. And what is it? Only narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition marked by an inflated sense of self-importance. Marked by an inflated sense of self-importance. Kéèyàn kọ́ra ẹ̀ lé kó gbéra ẹ̀ ga kó wò pé èmi kẹ̀ ó ju gbogbo yẹn lọ, èmi aju yẹn lọ àti kọjá gbogbo yẹn. Ẹni tó pọ́nra ẹ̀ lé tó gbéra ẹ̀ ga tó wò yí pé òun. Bíbélì sọ ó ní Ọlọ́run fúnra rẹ̀ ó ṣe kí ni ó kọjú ìjà sí agbéraga yẹn. Ó tún wá ní Ọlọ́run wo agbéraga látòkè rere ó wò lókè rere. Then Ọlọ́run ó tún wá parí ó ní ìgbéraga ló ṣe kí ni ló máa ń síwájú ìparun. Ó ní NPD is a mental health condition marked by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy, often masking fragile self-esteem and vulnerability, leading to significant personal and social difficulties. Tí wọ́n sọ mẹ́rin ni pé àwọn tó máa ń pọ́nra wọn lé jù, tó máa ń wò pé àwọn ju báwọn ṣe wà lọ, wọ́n máa ń fẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn máa yẹ wọn sí. Like tí Godfather bá pé Rotimi á ní the general ó náà ní Godfather their father.
Godfather ẹ jẹ́ kí n gbé yín sókè.
Ẹ kálẹ́ o gbogbo lé.
N kálẹ́ bàbá mi. Wọ́n ti sẹ́ndì nọ́mbà Prophet Ṣẹ́gun sí comment section.
Nọ́mbà yẹn ok.
Mo ti rí.
Ọtí sẹ́ndì ẹ̀ṣẹ́ 666 wà nù ẹ̀ 6 mẹ́ta.
666
òun láti wà bẹ́ẹ̀ mo rántí ìjọ tí máa kọ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ 6 mẹ́ta wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá ti 6 mẹ́ta kọ́ ni.
No 6 mẹ́ta wà bẹ́ẹ̀ mo ti kọ́ sílẹ̀.
Kẹ́kẹ́ lè mọ̀ pé mo ní nọ́mbà ìkọ̀wé òun náà ní nọ́mbà gangan nìyẹn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́ general program tẹ ṣe ní last time mo gbọ́ tán ọ́níyàn kan ní ó wà níbẹ̀ tó sọ pé pápá lórúkọ òun tó sọ̀rọ̀ pé tí àwọn kan bá dáyìn pé Godfather Bishop Andrew àwọn bíi Mo Samuel tó bá padà lẹ́yìn yín ibo lẹ fẹ́ fojú sí, and apparently the guy later went back to Mo Samuel láti lọ apologize. Mo dẹ̀ sọ fún Mo Samuel pé èmi o as a person mo ò ní gbà, and the only reason ni pé o ò lè yẹ̀yẹ́ wá níbi tí gbogbo àgbáyé wà kó wá lọ lẹ́yìn kó wá máa lọ lẹ́bẹ̀ ìwọ pápá yẹn olórí.
ẹni sùúrù bóyá ọmọ bóyá orí general kìíní ọ bóyá mo bá bishop sọ oyè yín nípa ọ̀rọ̀ grandpa a máa sọ ní kí lorúkọ ó ní reason tí mo ń sọ
grandpa
mo ti ṣàlàyé fún bishop Andrew.
Okay. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin pásítọ̀ wa tẹ wà lẹ́ngbà yẹn tẹ́ ẹ ṣe yànfùnyànfùn lówó who is Rotimi tó máa gbóló alọ́ lọ sí court tó máa ṣe gbá tó máa ṣàwo ṣèbá wọ̀n yín gbà yàdẹ̀ sọ fún yín pé pounds làwa ń pa dollar là ń pa tó bá jẹ́ 1 billion already tí ì rí nǹkan kan ẹ̀yin olórí burúkú kò sẹ́ni kò séyìí tó lè jáde ní tó dé sọ̀rọ̀ sí.
wà sẹ́ni kankan tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ mọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀.
kò sí kankan ìkàlẹ̀ yàrá bí olórí burúkú lè yàrá Nàìjíríà gbogbo ẹ̀yin pásítọ̀ yìí lè ṣoríire kò wá sẹ́ni tó wá sọ̀rọ̀ mọ́. Olúalọ́ mo tún sọ lálẹ́ yìí ibi tí mo wà yìí orí àpáta ni mo wà mo bọ́ ta nítorí kò sí network. bó ṣe wà yìí Olúalọ́ ó máa ya wèrè gbẹ̀yìn níṣẹ́.
ẹ má jò ya wèrè
3 years la fún ẹ ní 6 months. gbogbo Ìyábọ̀ Jáde àti àwọn ọmọ là ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ gbogbo orí burúkú tó ń ṣe tó ń sọ pé o fáwọn ẹbí kan lówó ìyá kan ṣe kinní kan yẹn no story ẹ produce ìyàwó pẹ̀lú ọmọ mẹ́ta ẹ ṣe general.
ẹ ṣe bàbá mi thank you so much.
So those kind of people are people that suffer from low self-esteem. Irú wọn, and that's why we said it earlier that pé àwọn tó gbọ́n tó mọṣẹ́ yẹn ṣe ju Rotimi bí irú àwọn Mrs. Badejo Maureen Badejo bí irú àwọn Mrs. Funke Ashikun ní gbogbo ìgbà tó ń pè é tó ń try láti fi ọ̀nà ọ̀gbọ́n bí báyìí ló ṣe kó ṣe ó máa ń dọ̀jú wọn tó bá nídìí kan lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ á ṣe gbàdé pé kò sí nǹkan yẹn á gbé wọn sí ìsìnkánmi á máa dọ̀jú wọn because lójú ara ẹ̀ òun lòun fẹ́ break iṣẹ́ yẹn òun lòun fẹ́ make a name kò dẹ̀ mọ ọ̀nà tó ṣe ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn níṣẹ́ kó gba òye lọ́wọ́ wọn níṣẹ́ kó gba ọgbọ́n lọ́wọ́ wọn irọ́. So is a mental health condition marked by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and administration, troubled relationships. Ẹ bá wo ní ìwà ẹ̀ ìgbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa obìnrin, ẹni pé he has troubled relationship. Mo ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan, mo ní Rotimi appears like somebody who grew up through troubled seasons of life from people, right from ẹ máa rí nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tó fẹ́ sọ ń sìn. From what he's saying now, you will now notice the kind of person he is. Even from his pronunciation, you see that pé olódo ni, ó lóun mọ̀ nípa current affair, ẹ̀dẹ́ nìkan tó ń pè lẹ́nu pé òdo gbáà ni. From most of the pronunciation in English, you see that he does not even understand a lot of things. It's just somebody that comes out, rely on people's intelligence. Nǹkan tí ó máa ń ṣe most of irú àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n máa ń gba ọgbọ́n, máa ń ha ọgbọ́n kiri lára àwọn èèyàn. Irú wọn tó bá kọ́ wọn lọ́gbọ́n, ọgbọ́n tó kọ́ wọn yẹn wọ́n á fi dì pẹ̀lú ẹ̀. Tó bá sọ wọn bí daddy, ọ̀hún tó sọ wọn bí tí wọ́n bá pè yín ló ṣẹ̀yìn, ẹ má gbé kọ́lẹ̀, ẹ kàn lè jẹ́ kó send details sí ìjọ kan, nǹkan yẹn á ṣe sí wọn náà. Wọ́n á máa wò pé òkè ẹyọ kan ló fún un, ó sì ní 9 tó fẹ́ fún un. So ṣé o máa fún èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ọgbọ́n yẹn mọ́? O ò lè fún lọ́gbọ́n yẹn because ọgbọ́n àgbọ̀n sódì ló máa ń dà wọ́n láàmú. Irú wọn á ní irú wọn káàkiri, so irú wọn dẹ̀ mọ́ra wọn, you know. So only troubled relationships and a lack of empathy, often masking fragile self-esteem and vulnerability, leading to significant personal and social difficulties, you know. Wọ́n máa ń gbé nǹkan pamọ́, wọ́n máa ń ṣe gbẹ̀dá pé nǹkan ò dùn wọ́n, nǹkan dẹ̀ ń dùn wọ́n, inú wọn bàjẹ́, inú wọn ò dùn, gbogbo nǹkan ó rí wọn lára. So nǹkan ìyàtọ̀ ti jẹ, wọ́n wá bold sódì. Tẹ́ bá lọ kà ẹ rí kíní ẹ̀ bó ṣe ń lọ. Now kí ni àwọn àpẹẹrẹ? Key signs include grandiosity, kọ́ máa gbéraga bí ṣe o mọ̀ mí, wọn bí mo ti ń bọ̀, lineage mi rèé, bàbá mi ó ní business tó pọ̀, ìyá mi ó ní Igbo blood, ìgbà tí mo wà ní kékeré school báyìí mo ń lọ, ìgbà mi bàbá mi á wá ní mi ò ní wá school, you know, those kind of expression. And I thank God that this guy has come to that level. He himself has expressed, so you can see you ask yourself, why is he saying those kind of things? Because you want people to have a sense of grandiosity about him. Fantasies of success and fantasies, meaning that I'm also nígbà kan, hey, me and my brother, my cousins, we used to do this, we used to go this, you know, àwa máa dá àwọn èèyàn lẹ́bi nígbà tó wá sọ pé ìwà àti cousin ẹjọ́ ń gbádùn, ẹjọ́ ń jayé ńgbà kan, then gbogbo torí pé ẹjọ́ sínsìn, torí pé iṣẹ́ ti gbé wọn káàkiri. Yorùbá ní ogún ọmọ ò lè ṣeré fógún ọdún, ó wá ń blame àwọn church, ó ń blame àwọn bàbá Adébóyè, ó ń blame àwọn bàbá Kúmúyì, ó ń blame àwọn the church system. Why?
Táwọn cousins mi bá ti wá fún end of the year ńgbà yẹn, my grandparents made sure that inú tray kan náà láti máa ń jẹun. It was a special tray, and I still remember the picture of that tray to date, until when religious activities separated my parents, my uncles, my aunties. And you will never understand what I missed, what I lost to religion, until when you ask me questions. Where they will be coming on different dates for Christmas and New Year. But as a boy growing up under happy grandparents, it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, I knew my cousins would be gone again. I would be missing them. I am outpouring my heart today for the very first time in a long time. Ló wá di wípé eléyà ní òun fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan kan, má sọ fún ọmọ làkejì ẹ, má sọ fún àbúrò ẹ, má sọ fún ẹ̀gbọ́n ẹ.
Why should you blame them? So it's called fantasies of success, entitlements, envy, and exploitation of others, with treatments typically involving psychotherapy. Treatment long song by, but we only one feel fantasies of success, entitlement. They suffer entitlement syndrome. They believe that they should have it. They believe that people should kowtow to them. Yellow yin sọ pé mo pe wo, who are you? Adébáyọ̀, en fi mi gun lágídí, who are you? Àwọn tí mo lọ bá gan wọn ká ọ sókè.
How can you collect 1,950,000 naira from somebody who is already having problems? ibẹ̀ fẹ́ ra go sí church mo tún wá sẹ́ndì tẹ́là yẹn sí yín pé bàbá Ṣẹ́gun Adébáyọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ bá mi dá owó ìpadà fẹ́ni yìí ẹ fi mí gún lágídí orí yín ti gbálẹ̀ orí yín ti burú ẹ̀yin olòṣè ẹ̀yin àgbà òṣì àgbà rádaràda yìí.
You know, self-grandiose. Bí àwa bí àdúgbò Rotimi Daniel ṣeré, irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ ló máa ń pààyàn ọ̀run ní kíákíá, ó máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí burúkú. When you feel so important and you can pronounce it and you can say that bí a ṣe jẹ́rìí àwa kò sí nǹkan tá a lè ṣe, you know, it's very unfortunate. Only key signs include grandiosity, fantasies of success, entitlement, envy, and exploitation of others. According to what the group are saying, Lagbayeja, Pastor Lagbayeja àtàwọn tó kù, gbogbo àwọn tó wà fàjà, what they are saying now, it's now coming to pass. Exploitation of others with treatment typically involving psychotherapy. Now, key characteristic, grandiose self-importance. Ẹ máa gbọ́, ó ní exaggerating achievements, expecting to be recognized as superior without commensurate accomplishment. You see now, in terms of me pé ó máa ń fẹ́ a máa sọ̀rọ̀ ara ẹ̀ bí ẹni tó ti achieve ẹni tó ní, ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́ bá débi tó ń gbé bí ní Canada ẹ rí pé inú yàrá kan ló ń gbé, ẹ rí pé iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe kò wọ́ọ̀tì nǹkan tó pera ẹ̀.
Ibi tí mo wà tẹ́lẹ̀ tá a fi ń ráyè ṣe bá a ṣe ń ṣe ó yàtọ̀ sí ibi tí mo relocate wá ń sìn torí wípé nǹkan tá à ń deal pẹ̀lú níbí báyìí ló ṣokùnfà pé ó máa ń busy fún wa ní winter nítorí ìdí èyí ńkọ́ ìjọ tá a bá ti ráyè ṣe live video náà la máa ṣe. Tẹ́ bá rí ojú mi bó ṣe rí nsìn mo ṣe dé láti 12-hour night shift ní nínú òtútù so mo ṣe délé ni mo ṣe ní pé kí n sáré ju eléyìí sílẹ̀. Ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yẹn bóyá ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ní early this year òun ló jẹ́ kí n ní incident ṣùgbọ́n mo dúpẹ́ pé incident yìí ò yọ pé bóyá mo lọ pààyàn níbi iṣẹ́ ìjọ náà lọ́hùn torí n bá lọ drive tí mo drive heavy equipment débi tí àwọn èèyàn wà níjọ náà lọ́hùn òkú lẹ́lẹ́jà ta ni oh yes òkú lẹ́lẹ́jà ta ni ẹ mọ̀ wá gbọ́ pé arúkòkò wọ́n mọ̀ mo lọ fún mẹ́rin accident náà máa pè ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run ní ó ń tẹ̀lé wa lórí ètò gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ò bá tí yẹ ẹ jẹ́ kó lọ yé yín that I could come to a stop at the right time. It was at that time I could look around me and saw that àwọn èèyàn tó wà lórí ibi tí máa gbà kọjá tán eré lágbára ń jọ yẹn ó ní agbára.
Even gan lórí benefit ọmọ ẹ̀ ń sìn ẹ ti rí i pé kò fẹ́ san kàkà bẹ́ẹ̀ according to what they said wọ́n pa ọmọ ẹ̀ dànù kàkà bẹ́ẹ̀ kó eliminate ọmọ ẹ̀ or something according to what his own people said with their mouth. We are not the ones saying this, but in real life on the platform on the social media he wants everybody to see him as big, as extraordinary, as as mystique. That's what he said. Grandiose self-importance, exaggerating achievements, expecting to be recognized as superior without commensurate accomplishment. Bó ṣe wà yẹn ṣe aṣọ fún pé bàbá òun grandfather òun ó ní hòtẹ́ẹ̀lì tó dáa jù ní ọ̀rẹ́ grandfather òun ní sawmill.
Ìdílé Ògúndélé ni mo ti wá Ìbàrà local government lábẹ́òkúta ní Ogun state. Grandpa kan tẹ̀dó sí Ìbàdàn ni. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní change of business wọn. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní change of business wọn. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní change of business wọn. As a matter of fact, gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà tẹ́ bá wà ní ilé ní ẹ máa rántí pé in the 80s a big sawmill ó wà níbi tí men of Izaka vision wà lẹ́ni sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ń bẹ̀ sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ń bẹ̀ sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ń bẹ̀ Iho Ogundele and Sons sawmill. The only counterpart ta nígbà yẹn as young as I was then was Adekanbi sawmill tó wà níwájú Naisa.
Ọ̀tẹ̀ wa máa wò pé after some many years kí ló dé tí life ti ẹ̀rí bó ṣe rí yẹn at least Aliko Dangote grandfather ẹ̀ fún ní 500,000 in the 70s and today we can see the story. But but òun sìn grandfather tiẹ̀ lówó ó ní businesses òun ló máa ń wà pẹ̀lú grandfather òun nìkan ni the best loved grandchild, but look at it now. Then the second one is fantasies. Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. You can see don't say pé grandma òun wo companionship òun àti grandpa àwọn tó ti dàgbà tó ti bí àwọn ọmọ inú wọn ìwọ you are third generation or second generation to them. Then he is now talking about he was talking about fantasies about that's he need a woman like his grandma that can understand him in terms of companionship, not about child, because he's running away from responsibility.
In the 90s, early 90s, as a very young boy that was growing up with his grandmother and grandfather, I saw things. I saw a lot of things. And that is why I told you maybe to somebody like myself, when it comes to issue of marriage, there will be, but there will be only few ladies to ma understand pé tó ń bá meet mi tó ń bá béèrè nípa nǹkan tí mo fẹ́, tí mo sọ wípé tó bá béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi ní 100 times, tí mo ń sọ fún ẹ pé ní 100 times yẹn I prefer companionship more than even ọmọ. Don't get it twisted. I know what I'm talking about. I grew up under my granddad and my grandmom. Mo mọ nǹkan tí companionship jẹ́.
He wants companionship so that he probably, God forgive, he can cheat the woman, he can put responsibility at her doorstep. Irú wọn ló máa ń sọ pé àjọ bí ọmọ yìí ni àjọ máa gbádùn ẹ̀ ní ìwọ náà yẹ kó ṣe ilé kó ṣe tán. They can't do things like a father in most cases. They want responsibility to be done by somebody. Tọmọ yẹn bá dàgbà, they still want to claim fatherhood. So fantasies, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love.
Èmi tẹ́ ń wò yìí, mo play voice note kan lánàá directly from an elderly Igbo cousin. Nnanufe Neku, ṣé gbọ́n tí mò ń sọ. Tí Igbo bá sọ pé Nnanufe Neku, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ̀bẹ́ kìí ṣe àbàtà. Where are you coming from? Ni Igbo ń sọ yẹn. Jẹ́ wèté mi lè kà ń kó aka. Igbo ní lọ bá ń gbómi wá kí n fi fọwọ́ mi kúrò nínú ọ̀tẹ̀ àti ìbàjẹ́. Kí ẹ mọ̀ pé mo sọ fún wa pé mo lẹ́jẹ̀ Igbo lára. Unfortunately, látìgbà tí grandma mi ti kú, you will not understand, you will not believe that when my grandmom was alive, a very, very beautiful woman, Ìyá Edna Ogundele, a very wonderful woman. She was not perfect, but she did her best. Some of the things in Bandana Leni, ìyá yẹn ló kọ́ mi. Grandpa mi will always be in the kitchen preparing food for my grandma. Ìyá ẹ̀ lọ jókòó. Jẹ́ kí mi àti Rotimi dáná. Jẹ́ ká dáná. And ní gbogbo ìgbà tí mò ń sọ yìí, because of the love my grandmom or my granddad had for my grandmom, he was able to learn Igbo language because of a woman that came from the lineage of Chief Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe. My grandmom was from that lineage. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. So, tẹ́ bá ń fi orí wí orí, ẹ lè understanding tẹ́ ń fi orí gbá. Now, tá bá lọ tá bá bọ̀ tá bá ní ẹ̀bẹ́ kìí ṣe àbàtà. Ibo ló ti ń bọ̀ ni Igbo ń sọ. Tán bá wá béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi mà ní láti 2018 náà ni ìrìn àjò yìí ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. So, tí n bá tún wá padà tí mo ní Nnanufe Neku, ṣé understand tí mò ń sọ tàbí tí mo fẹ́ sọ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ farabalẹ̀ gbọ́.
It's about nǹkan tó ń try láti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. You see the way he flavored the personality of his grandmom, Ma Edna Ogundele, the way he described her, beautiful, wonderful. Then he now told you for the first time that he has a Igbo blood. You know, instead for him to, he was trying to use that one as an advantage to make you know that, Ongbono, but I mean, you will just be looking at him and say, okay, well, you have an Igbo blood. Is that why you abuse elderly people? Is that why you don't take elderly people serious? Is that why you put them down? Well, no problem. Igbo blood is nothing bad. It's a good blood. Now, he's trying to talk about fantasy. Those are the key characteristics of NPD.
Unfortunately, látìgbà tí grandma mi ti kú, you will not understand, you will not believe that when my grandmom was alive, a very, very beautiful woman, Ìyá Edna Ogundele, a very wonderful woman. She was not perfect, but she did her best. Some of the things in Bandana Leni, ìyá yẹn ló kọ́ mi. Grandpa mi will always be in the kitchen preparing food for my grandma. Ìyá ẹ̀ lọ jókòó. Jẹ́ kémi àti Rotimi dáná. Jẹ́ ká dáná. And ní gbogbo ìgbà tí mò ń sọ yìí, because of the love my grandmom or my granddad had for my grandmom, he was able to learn Igbo language because of a woman that came from the lineage of Chief Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe. My grandmom was from that lineage. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni. So, tẹ́ bá ń fi orí wí orí, ẹ lè understanding tẹ́ ń fi orí gbá.
You know, he talk about how the woman cook, that the woman also make his father to know how to cook, and that was why he was able to also know how to cook. That every time the woman, his grandfather would tell the grandma to go and sit down, let me cook. That was how he too was able to learn to cook. Then he now said that great woman that came from the lineage of Nnamdi Azikwe. So you see, those are the kind of things that people with that kind of complex, they talk about. They try to make you look at. And do you know when he released this video? It was just few days after the Faja movement started tearing him apart. So what he's trying to do is to let them know that, look, I'm not like all of you. I'm bigger than you. I have a blood. I'm from Abeokuta, but we lived in Ibadan. We had money, but my grandma is from Nnamdi Azikwe. So our family, we have a lineage of elitism. Then we have riches in our family. Then I was not a child born with ordinary spoon. I was born with gold or silver or diamond spoon. Those are the kind of analysis he's trying to put here. But you understand, it's part of the characteristic of somebody that is suffering from that kind of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, whereby you want to aggravate your image so that you can submerge people and make them afraid of you.
Now, taba lọ taba bọ̀ taba ní ẹ̀bẹ̀ kìí ṣe àbàtà. Ibo ló ti ń bọ̀ ni Igbo ń sọ. Tán bá wá béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi ní láti 2018 náà ni ìrìn àjò yìí ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. So, tí n bá tún wá padà tí mo ní nnànú fẹ́ nèkú, ṣé understand tí mò ń sọ tàbí tí mo fẹ́ sọ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ farabalẹ̀ gbọ́. There was a particular seat tí grandma mi máa ń jókòó sí. There was another one tí grandpa máa ń jókòó sí. We had the settings. Tá a bá fẹ́ wo series Toba, tá a bá fẹ́ wo Tòkunbọ̀ Àjàyí in those days. And ní primary school mi, tí wọ́n bá ń celebrate mi wípé under current affairs, which was one of the subjects tá a máa ń ṣe ń gbà yẹn. Current affairs wà bẹ́ẹ̀. Nínú current affairs láti máa ń ṣe abbreviations. How many of you lè rántí gbogbo ìgbà tí mò ń sọ yìí? Nínú abbreviations yìí, wọ́n lè kọ AU. Wọ́n ní kí ni meaning ẹ̀ African Unity. Wọ́n kọ OAU. You can either write Organization of African Unity or Obafemi Awolowo University. Back then in Trinity Home Nursery and Primary School, wọ́n mọ̀ pé Rotimi ò ṣe fọwọ́ rọ́ sẹ́yìn. tó bá di current affairs.
Now gbogbo nǹkan tó ń sọ ẹ̀ ń sìn in a neighbor gbogbo nǹkan tó ń sọ ẹ̀ gbogbo everything tó ń sọ ẹ̀ is just to let you know that it's just to give you an illusion that he came from a rich home and that his grandfather is very rich. Then you will not ever repeat to my gbagba, you know, that nínú ilé wọn they have a special seat, one for the father, grandfather, one for the grandmom, that àwọn bá fẹ́ wo Tòkunbọ̀ Àjàyí, àwọn fẹ́ wo restore in the 90s, you know, only a lot of things, and then tó bring gbóbìnrin wá tó wá béèrè lọ́wọ́ ní 100 times wọ́n máa choose compassionately over childbearing. Ṣe rí pé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn kò bá orí wípé mo báwo lè máa choose companionship over childbearing ní tọ́lọ́run ní ká wá ṣe procreation, ó ní ká máa gbáyìn lórí ilẹ̀ ká máa bí sí ká máa rẹ̀ sí. So but nínú ọgbà Eden, for every woman there's always a companionship at the beginning, so the onus is on you to oil the companionship. It's not for a woman, it's you that are going to show love. So it says practically the kind of person he is, that he's a difficult person. Tóbìnrin bá mọ̀, tóbìnrin bá rùn, tó fẹ́ béèrè lọ́wọ́ wíwà dẹ́ pé he is something important. So obìnrin gbọ́dọ̀ kàwútà, obìnrin gbọ́dọ̀ máa bẹ̀ ẹ́ jọ kí ló fẹ́, wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀. You are the one to look for a woman, to conquer a woman, to take a woman through the aspect of love. It's not the woman that needs to conquer you. You are the man. In every civilization, it is men that conquers women, and you give them your understanding. The moment they understand you, then there's companionship initially. Then in between, there's understanding when you are raising children. And when those children grow up and become successful in life, you go back to companionship to live the rest of your life before you exit. So he's not a smart guy. He's a very small boy. He has a very minute sense of reasoning, and it's a pity. We need to pity him. Now, one sọ̀rọ̀ nípa school pé òun dánú current affair ẹ wá rí bí ó ti gbági. That's why a lot of people nínú àwọn tó sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn wọ́n ní pronunciation ẹ̀ ń gbà míì òdo ni. This kind of people are not really intelligent. They are just bold in a very wrong way. And you're going to now see what we are saying now from what he's talking about his school. Then we're not getting into his school now. You will hear where he shot himself in the leg, and you will understand why we say he's suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, which comes with a whole lot of illnesses, emotional illnesses. When he was talking about what they call it, about companionship and childbearing, every young man yìí pé tí àwọn grandfather, if they didn't give birth to his own parents and his parents gave birth to him, how will he learn from them? How will he see the value of their companionship? Meaning that if they were talking like him, that the grandfather was looking for childbearing before companionship, how? He said it with his mouth that his grandfather was the one that would tell the grandma, go and sit down, let me cook today. That the grandfather was daring enough to condescend to the level of making his wife happy by cooking for her, making the home a suitable place for everyone. That even the man has his own chair in the parlor, he also crafted a chair for his wife. So if this guy, this boy, Rotimi, tó bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ báyìí pé 100 times tóbìnrin bá bá wọn tó bèrè pé kí lòun fẹ́, kí lòun need, wọ́n máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí companionship. Ṣé companionship la fi ń bẹ̀rẹ̀? Ó máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí companionship than child. Ẹni tó bá ń sá fún responsibility ló máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀. And it's unfortunate that from what àwọn fàájà movement tó ń sọ nípa ẹ, it shows that you are somebody that has come for responsibility. You have no good reputation for responsibility, and especially as in regard to what they are saying about your only child, your daughter. It's quite unfortunate. You need help, you need reform, you need rehabilitation. Then he's now talking about Trinity Home Nursery and Primary School. We are getting to a place whereby you will now know that this guy is really suffering from what we call narcissistic personality disorder. And one of the key characteristics is need for admiration, meaning that such people requires constant excessive praise and attention. You know. Now, he said something about when he was in school, that current affair. If we want ayé ìgbà yẹn láyé current affair, wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé nínú school yẹn he was the best, that wọ́n bí Rotimi ò ṣe fọwọ́rọ́ sẹ́yìn. Now, he now said something that shows how uneducated or how small-minded he is. And I learned that he has a master's from UI. But UI is one of the very wonderful institutions in Africa. Very wonderful, one of the number one. Maybe it's a bad edition. You know, in every production, you have the good and the bad. If you do bakery, a bread, if you bake 100 bread, the probability that at least 1 or 2 will not be properly baked. But that does not mean that your bakery is a bad bakery. It's just that there is what we call circumstantial mistakes. So maybe it's one of those that are relocating, or those circumstantial mistakes of that fantastic environment, you know, from what he said and all what he put out. Now, he was talking about current affair and he was talking about abbreviation. Then, to God be the glory, he mentioned AU. Initially, in 1963, it was Organization of African Unity. Maybe that was how he got the idea. But in 2022, when it was changed, it became AU, African Union. Now, in another broadcast, he was talking about FRCN. It's called Federal Radio Corporation, not Federal Radio Commission. Federal Radio Corporation. It talks from the point of somebody that is paying, somebody that maybe had a shallow childhood.
And I give all the attributes. I return all the blessings, all the accolades to my granddad and my grandmom. Because ní timetable ta nígbà yẹn, it is a must that you either sit down with them 9 o'clock NTA network news, or àwọn bàbá tó máa ń fi kẹ̀kẹ́ tí wọ́n máa ń tẹ pọ́pọ́pọ́ tí wọ́n máa fi ń pín newspaper káàkiri gbogbo lẹ́ngbà yẹn. Tí n bá gbọ́ popo ń gbà yẹn as ọmọ ekere, it is either that wọ́n ti gbé newspapers wá, or ẹlẹ́mu ti dé. Grandpa mi fi ẹmu kọ́ mi kékeré torí oògùn ibà ni. Gbogbo ìgbà tí mò ń sọ yìí, each family máa ń ní pack of Andrew liver salt nílé. Wọ́n máa ń lu ihò sí lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́, ó ní bí wọ́n ṣe káàvẹ̀ lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ tẹ́ máa yọ tọ́mọ bá ti nínú run òun. Wọ́n á ní ẹ lọ mú Andrew liver salt wá. Wọ́n á dẹ̀ lọ mú wá, wọ́n á bẹ gbọ́n, wọ́n á dà sínú cup, wọ́n á bomi sí, wọ́n á mú chuchuchuchu. All of a sudden, inú rírun ti lọ. Gbogbo ìgbà yẹn wọ́n ní, ẹ mọ̀ pé ọmọ ekere ò lè ṣe kó mọ́ ṣèṣe ọmọ ekere. My tummy. Gbẹ́nu sáwọn inú òórùn ẹ, o fẹ́ mọ Andrew liver salt ni. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ farabalẹ̀ gbọ́ rounding up with a knee, ó wà important. Most especially to you Christians.
Now, he made mention of something funny there. After the diatribes about OAU and AU, he said he tried to paint a picture of the most favorite grandchild, living with his grandparents. Those are the kind of things those are the key characteristics of someone suffering from NPD.
It wasn't as if I didn't have other cousins or siblings, but I happened to be the only grandchild living with my grandparents. However, every December, all the other cousins, uncles, aunties, we will come around. They will come to our family compound. Nìbàdàn, ní Ọ̀jọ́, Onílé-Aró, Ogundele's compound. Mo ń sọ lẹ́nìí fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá sì fẹ́ forúkọ yẹn ṣe oògùn tàbí tẹ́ bá fẹ́ fi ṣe nǹkan sí mi, kẹ́ lè mọ̀ pé mi ìbẹ̀rù ẹnìkankan. Elédùmarè nìkan ni mo bẹ̀rù, ni mo páyà. Ìdílé Ogundele ni mo ti wá, Ìbàrà local government l'Abẹ́òkúta ní Ogun State.
The first one is grandiose self-importance. Now it created a scenario of a child living in an elite neighborhood. He talks about they must make him watch 9 o'clock news by 9 p.m. either from by Siri Stoba or by late Mrs. Tokunbo Ajayi. Then he spoke about newspaper hawkers on bicycle, those morning cyclists with newspaper that always horn their horn to announce their arrival. So what he's trying to say that he was able to read quality newspapers at his grandfather, at the behest of his grandfather. So it's still part of the self-grandiose, it's part of the grandiose self-importance strategy and fantasies, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Those are one of the key characteristics. Then the next one is need for admiration, require constant excessive praise and attention, because the purpose of doing all this is for his Faja movement people that are fighting him, so that they can start to appreciate him and start feeling a sense of loss for not talking to him. They can start saying, oh, this guy is rich, or he came from a rich home, this guy is elitist and all that. So he spoke about Emu, that is Oguro, that those that sell Oguro in the neighborhood too come with cyclists and they do pop, they put their own. So he was trying to give a kind of picture of a very, very precious grandchild who was even spoiled to the level of even sharing Oguro with him, sharing alcohol. Oguro is alcoholic. That's palm wine. Pami is alcoholic. So if you can let us know that your grandma was even sharing Pami with you, it shows that, oh, you are even spoiled to the extent that they gave you Pami. Then he quickly said, because it is for fever, it's for Ogumba. So, but what is driving at, everybody can deduct. Then you will now start seeing other levels. We're going somewhere in this analysis of NPD. Somebody that suffers from NPD, the symptoms are always written all over their emotion. You can see it everywhere, so you can understand where it's coming from. So that when he's abusing your general overseer, or somebody takes a story to him and is investigating in a very wrong way, you can understand. When it's cursing, you can understand.
Táwọn cousins mi bá ti wá fún end of the year àgbà yẹn, my grandparents made sure that inú tray kan náà láti máa ń jẹun. It was a special tray, and I still remember the picture of that tray to date, until when religious activities separated my parents, my uncles, my aunties. And you will never understand what I missed, what I lost to religion, until when you ask me questions. Where they will be coming on different dates for Christmas and New Year. But as a boy growing up under happy grandparents, it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, I knew my cousins would be gone again. I would be missing them. I am outpouring my heart today for the very first time in a long time. Ló wá di wípé eléyà ní òun fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan kan, má sọ fún ọmọ làkejì ẹ, má sọ fún àbúrò ẹ, má sọ fún ẹ̀gbọ́n ẹ. You should understand what Ogundele's family meant ní Ìbàdàn gbà yẹn. All the way to Ìjẹ̀bú, all the way to Ondo State.
You also see that area, he was boasting about the kind of Christmas they used to have, that during every Christmas, a whole lot of other cousins will come for the holiday, but he was the most favorite child. If you listen to this story, we have the full video, but we're going to just give you a tip. But if you go and listen to the whole thing, I don't know, you can go and check it on his channel. He spoke about a whole lot of things that was happening around them that time, that he was the most favorite grandchild. And you will get to a level whereby you start questioning some things. For instance, he was going to a very elitist school like Trinity Home, Nursery and Primary School, and suddenly he was taken out of that place to another school. But what is he saying now? He said he came from Ojo, that they were living in Ojo at Onilearu, and that they have what they call an Ogundele compound, but that they came from Ibara in Abeokuta. So he was trying to hype his family, that they are from a very rich lineage. And in trying to hype his family, he said his grandfather has chains of businesses.
As a matter of fact, my granddad was the owner of Queen of Sheba Hotel tó wà ní Ọ̀rẹ́. Those were the days tó jẹ́ wípé ìta la máa ń sùn tí ò sí olè tó máa wọlé. I am telling you the basic truth.
And this is a very interesting part. Chains of businesses. So that we highlighted that part. Chains of businesses. Meaning that his grandfather was very rich to the extent that he could put his grandchild in a very expensive nursery and primary school, and he could maintain it to the extent that Rotimi even said that most of the time he does not even stay in school, that his grandfather was the one that would take him out. You are going to get to that level, you will understand where we're going. Now we're asking that where are those chains of companies? Is he going to mention another thing? Those companies we mentioned, then you ask yourself, why was he not living with his parents? And what happened to his parents? What about his father? What about his mom? Then what happened? Why did they keep him in grandpa's place? And why is he so fascinated about talking about that? Why is he the most preferred grandchild? And what happened? He said he saw a lot, blah, blah, blah.
Grandpa kan tẹ̀dó sí Ìbàdàn ni. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní chains of business wọn. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní chains of business wọn. Ìbàdàn náà ti ní chains of business wọn. As a matter of fact, gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà tẹ́ bá wà nù lélẹ̀ ni. Ẹ máa rántí pé in the 80s, a big sawmill ó wà níbi tí men of Izaka vision wà lẹ́ni. Sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ńbẹ̀. Sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ńbẹ̀. Sawmill grandpa mi ló wà ńbẹ̀. Iho Ogundele and Sons sawmill. The only counterpart ta nígbà yẹn, as young as I was then, was Adekanbi sawmill tó wà níwájú Naisa.
In that brief place too, he also talked about where the men of Izaka Vision is right now in Ibadan. Some of you know that place, that his grandfather has a very big sawmill. I think E.O. Ogundele and Son, according to him, that it was so big. He was just trying to let us know that his grandpa was an industrialist.
For you to understand the kind of growing up I had, my granddad, my grandmom, and myself, a máa kó sínú Mercedes-Benz 300 SEL, one of the many vehicles tí grandpa mi ní as a businessman. A máa drive láti inú compound wa lọ sínú sawmill. Grandpa mi ní Dane guns ń gbà yẹn. Anything tó bá máa ṣẹlẹ̀, wọ́n á yìnbọn ni. Mo ti dàgbà tán kí n tó wò pé ẹ dúró ná. Grandpa ìgàn fẹ̀mí mi wéwu gan o.
Now, he was trying to paint a picture. He said he and his grandpa in the evening with his grandma, they would drive in a very elitist Mercedes-Benz car 300 CL. That it was one of the several cars that his grandpa had then. That they would drive from that place into the sawmill, from their house to go and see workers and all that. His grandfather would go and oversee his company. That most of the time his grandfather will go with the Dane gun, and that if anything will happen, the man will just shoot. That means that he was trying to tell us that his grandfather was a very rich man to the extent that he had gun, he can shoot into the sky, he can create scene, he can do anything and nothing will happen. That it took a time when he grew up, he was now thinking that, oh, this man even put my life in danger by shooting in my presence, that's the kind of grandpa he was trying to let us know that he had. You can imagine, he says one of the several cars.
One of the many vehicles tí grandpa mi ní. One of the many vehicles tí grandpa mi ní. One of the many vehicles tí grandpa mi ní.
That is one of the characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder. Fantasies, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. It's part of the fantasies. It's part of the characteristics of NPD. Need for admiration requires constant excessive praise and attention. then fantasies is subject there. Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. He's talking about his father's SEL 300 Benz car, among the several other cars that he decided not to mention because he just wanted all of you to have an idea that they were so rich. And we are getting somewhere here.
Gbogbo ìgbà tí mò ń sọ during the day tí wọ́n bá ní pé kí n lọ wo àwọn workers ní sawmill láti ilé, àwọn weed tó ní blomblom mo máa ń já láti ẹnu géètì dé sawmill ni màá máa bẹ́ báyìí tí màá máa fi ṣeré. Ní ibìkan ní sawmill yẹn ní ọ̀nà tó lọ sí Àbàfà, ó ní odò kan tí àwọn flowers kọ̀ọ̀kan máa ń wù bí àwọn flower purple báyìí tá a máa ń já tá a máa ń ro ṣúgà ẹ̀ mú tá a mọ nǹkan tó jẹ́ ń gbà yẹn. Mo fẹ́ dá gbogbo àwa àgbàlagbà tá a wà nílé, mo tún fẹ́ dá wa padà sẹ́yìn kẹ́ mọ́ tá a gbé sọnù.
He was talking about that some of the time his grandfather will send him to go and see the workers. Then on his way there, he will take some weeds that has bloom, a kind of flower, in those days that serenade the environment. Then he'll be blowing it up until he gets to the worker. And you can imagine how old was he? We're talking about him now. You don't know how old is he then. You ask yourself, how old was he? That he's talking about flowers. That those flowers, he will now use them. We'll be throwing them till he get to the workers. Then you ask yourself, what age was he? He didn't tell us the age, but he was brilliant enough. And that's why we said in the fantasies, he's preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Those are one of the characteristics of NPSD. That is narcissistic personality disorder, when people over-exaggerate themselves and they think about the past and they start soliloquizing. So he's talking that even there is a place near, it's called Abafa. He used to go there to take some purple flower with sugary substance inside. He'll be licking them and all that. So he has painted a picture of the child of a rich man dealing with some poor people working in a sawmill, and that his father's sawmill is called E.O. Ogundele and Sons, and that it was another big sawmill called Adekombi sawmill that was a rival in those days. So he's still going to tell us more riches about his grandfather. Just wait.
What am I trying to say? I understood from then what companionship láàrin ọkùnrin àti obìnrin tó jẹ́ above ọmọ, because it was that companionship that held my granddad and my grandmom together for so long till their old dying ages. And as a matter of fact, kani grandpa mi kú níyà yìí kò take 2 years kí grandma mi tó sọ wípé ó dìgbà ó ṣe. So if I had this kind of understanding from my young age, you will understand as a lady that tẹ́mi àti ẹ bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ni tó bá gbé síwájú mi pé ọmọ máa sá fún ẹni. Because I have understood that there is what we call companionship ní old age, when there will be no more kids around you tí wọ́n máa sáré náà ní ara títí wọn. And I will never make that mistake to put above companionship any other thing when it comes to settling down or having a girlfriend. Mi lè bẹ́ ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́, a lè jọ ṣe sarcasm, mi lè fàwọn ará ilé ẹ̀ ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ kó fàwọn ará ilé mi ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́, gbogbo a máa sọ dogun. You can never have a way with me.
You ask yourself here, is still hitting companionship, that when living with them you learn about companionship, that no matter how, if any woman is coming to tell him about child, meaning that preference for child care, that will keep running away. Or in terms of ni pé òun mama pé companionship ló ń wá, òun ò wá ọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ, obìnrin tó bá gbọ́rọ̀ ọmọ síwájú òun kò ní lè fẹ́ òun. Ìbéèrè tó lè ká béèrè lọ́wọ́ ni pé tí bàbá àti ìyá tiẹ̀ tó bá fi companionship ṣe ṣọ́ máa bí òun then àwọn grandpa tó ń gbé lọ́dọ̀ wọn yẹn náà àti màmá Edna Ogundele tó sọ pé ìyá tó mọ oúnjẹ ń ṣe ìyá tó dáa ìyá tó beautiful tí kò bá sí agreement láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báwo lọ ṣe bí àwọn òbí tiẹ̀ wọ́n wá bí ìwọ tí ìwọ wá gbé lọ́dọ̀ àwọn people yẹn then ó rí i pé ìrọ̀rùn igi ni ìrọ̀rùn ẹyẹ according sí nǹkan tó sọ ní owó wà ọ̀rọ̀ wà ajé wà so báwo ni companionship ò ṣe ní dúró now ní ayé tó wà ń sìn bí nǹkan ṣe rí ní ìgboro yìí lórígun mẹ́rin ayé ìwọ wá ń wá obìnrin tí companionship ni wọ́n máa fi bá gbé so meaning that companionship ó better ju ọmọ that means pé o need àti bímọ nìyẹn then you need to look for maybe you should go and marry a divorcee or I mean a single mother because àwọn yẹn lè fún ẹ companionship tó ń wá they can take you along they can make you happy if there is no responsibility to face again because kò sẹ́ni tó wà nù ayé ìsìn tó máa face the responsibility of raising a child tó máa sọ̀rọ̀ companionship yes you can make companionship at the level of understanding owó school fees ọmọ máa tó yọjú owó ìwé ọmọ á yọjú owó aṣọ ọmọ á yọjú owó bàtà ọmọ á yọjú àwọn nǹkan tó ní tí ó tẹ́ni dà ti ṣe so you are talking about companionship the first thing is understanding companionship starts at the green age of relationship then at the middle age of relationship you use understanding and at the twilight age then companionship comes back but unfortunately for Rotimi Daniel everything is just astray as he's getting it wrong on religion he's getting it wrong on relationship Ọlọ́run má sọ wá di aṣiwèrè ṣọpẹ́ tó wá ti gbé Jésù tẹ́lẹ̀ náà Ọlọ́run má ẹ̀ka ìwárí jálajàla.
Bíbélì ní wípé ẹ tújú ká torí wípé mo ti ṣẹ́gun ayé. Ogun tó wá ń jẹ ẹ̀yin Christian tẹ́ ẹ fi ń gbàgbà kó àdúrà ṣé ogun ọ̀run ni? Meanwhile ẹni tó lòun ti ṣẹ́gun ayé náà ló dá ogun yẹn sáyé o nígbà tó fọwọ́ ara ẹ̀ dá Sátánì tán tí ó lè dá mú mọ́ ó wá lè sáyé ó ní kẹ́ mọ́ bá a pò ṣógun ọ̀run ló wá ń jà yín. Nonsense.
The only reason why Jesus, according to those stories, those fictional stories, the reason why he accepted the calling of the Father is because he loved the Father so much that he would bring down all his glory, would do everything, and come to planet Earth. Now, why would the same Jesus who loved the Father so much will be the same person telling us in Matthew 10:34 that we should hate? That he's bringing division, he's bringing sword instead of peace. Why should it be the same person teaching us this madness? Táwọn cousins mi bá ti wá fún end of the year ńgbà yẹn, my grandparents made sure that inú tray kan náà láti máa ń jẹun. It was a special tray. And I still remember the picture of that tray to date until when religious activities separated my parents, my uncles, my aunties. And you will never understand what I missed, what I lost to religion until when you ask me questions.
We don't need to ask you questions. You need to ask yourself questions that what did you do to religion? Religion has always been like this for ages. This is the book of world. This is the people, nation, people and nation. It's one of the books we read in 100 level when we were doing history. Religion has always been dirty. Religion, civilization is part of civilization. You are going to have cultures, great civilization. You're going to have, a revival of ideas. There's from the Byzantine Empire, to the Rome Empire, to the African and Feudal Lord Empire, to the revolutionary age of industrial revolution. Religion has always been the way it is. Nations has always built around philosophies, around religion. Religion has always been like the way it is now. Everything is here. You need to go back and study history. When you are studying history, you study philosophy. And as you are studying philosophy, you also study psychology as well. So that you can understand that religion has always been like this. The only thing, you cannot change religions overnight. You can only talk about the evil, the little evil, and with time, it will revolve and it will reform. There will be what we call self-reform. You are saying that religion took it away from you. That's a big lie. That's a huge lie. The Yoruba parable says, Ogun omo le sere fogun odun. Your uncle, and they come, a big tray, they put food in that big tray, and you still remember the color of the big tray. What kind of emotional sympathy are you trying to draw to yourself? Who cares? And all of them now, blah 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 blah. What cares? Ogun omo le sere fogun odun now. That's why in this characteristic of your narcissistic personality disorder, he said a need for admiration require constant excessive praise and attention. Fantasies, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Here you are talking about ideal love. Àwọn ẹgbẹ́ àtàbúrò ẹ, àwọn cousin ẹ tí ẹ jọ sí mọ́, it is not because of religion. It's because of civilization, because of social reorder. Ogun ọmọ ò ní ṣeré fógun ọdún, gbogbo wọn gbọ́dọ̀ lọ ṣiṣẹ́, ẹlòmíì á marry, ìmí àfẹ́ òyìnbó, ìmí àfẹ́ dúdú, ìmí àfẹ́. A ní àwọn bàbá ní Nàìjíríà sí. I was with General Jembe some time ago in Iyagbede. General Jembe he's still alive. You can ask him, and he was lamenting to me one night. Báwọn ọmọ ohun tó ń bí kan náà wọ́n ti fẹ́ Chinese àbí, that they are not coming home, that he has a big school in Iya, in Kogi State. He has a very big country home. He has properties scattered in Abuja, in Lagos, and that he's afraid that most of his children are not even looking there. One of his son is married to a Chinese, his daughter or whatever. The other daughter is married to a British soldier. A lot of old men today are selling their properties in Lagos, in Abuja, in Abeokuta, in Ibadan, because they feel that their children are fast flung away from the reality of home, that if they die, somebody else might just inherit the property. So they are selling it and they are putting the money in treasuries, in financial treasuries, so that they can reallocate it to their children in better ways, in better forms. They can leave a better legacy. So what religion, one table, one table, you are frustrated. You are so pressed. You need help. Religion back in the lower. Even I want to sort of they know that it's not religion. You are just tired. There's bad things in religion. Look, our pastor on shogun, fi àwọn shogun. Our pastor on lo agbára burúkú lórí àwọn èèyàn. Ìyẹn ni kò sọ. When you see reality, when you see facts, you come, you expose it, and everybody talk about it, and it's either there's a reform or there's other. Look at Doris Ogala. Our bloggers, like people will handle Doris Ogala, so you will have broken it. You'll have destroyed the whole story. Look at how they handled it now. A lot of bloggers took it and they dismantled it. They were able to treat it very well, and there's evident result. Look at other stories that everybody are treating about churches, about wickedness in church. Nobody is sitting in one cubicle shouting, hitting the table and shaking head, and like somebody that is hunting for a black goat.
Táwọn cousins mi bá ti wá fún end of the year àgbà yẹn, my grandparents made sure that inú tray kan náà láti máa ń jẹun. It was a special tray, and I still remember the picture of that tray to date, until when religious activities separated my parents, my uncles, my aunties, and you will never understand what I missed, what I lost to religion, until when you ask me questions. Where they will be coming on different dates for Christmas and New Year. But as a boy growing up under happy grandparents, it didn't matter, because at the end of the day, I knew my cousins would be gone again. I would be missing them. I am outpouring my heart today for the very first time in a long time. Ló wá di wípé eléàní ẹ òun fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan kan, má sọ fún ọmọ làkejì ẹ, má sọ fún àbúrò ẹ, má sọ fẹ́ gbọ́n ẹ. You should understand what Ogundele's family meant ní Ìbàdàn gbà yẹn. all the way to Ijebu, all the way to Ondo State.
What you are talking about is that you are missing, you are pouring your heart for the first time. Who asked you that question? You are pouring your heart because your brothers and sisters are scattered, your cousin are scattered. Okay, do you want to go back and start eating the same pan with them, or you want to reverse time? Oh, you want to go back to Ibadan and be living in Ojo and be going from Ogundele compound to the sawmill to go and meet staff and be throwing bloom flower on the road and be going to take purple flower with sugar content and be drinking or whatever? Or you want to be sitting with your grandfather in the Benz 300 SEL and your grandmother is shooting aimlessly at nothing or shooting on my Bonshani? Okay, you want to go back there? So is it Adeboye that took that away from you? Or is it Bishop Oyedepo that took that away from you? Or is it Pat W.F. Kumuyi that took that away from you? Or is it Professor Adeboye that took that away from you? Or is it Pais Kiabera that took that away from you? Or is it the late T.O. Obadare or Joseph Abolola or Saint S.B. Joshofa or Saint Moses Orimolade or Papa Oshitelu? What's wrong with you? Are they the one? Religion is also part of civilization. It revolves season by season. A lot of things come. There's always dirtiness in it. Even in the time of Jesus, there was dirtiness. There were things being done in the synagogues, taxes being raised to appease to unscrupulous activities, and people spoke against it. Religion has always came with different shades, and with time, people break even. People speak about it. So why should you say religion distorted you, scattered you? What's the meaning of that? Even what they saying, wọ́n ní máa sọ fún ọmọ kejì Jeremiah 9:4 kí ló sọ? Ó ní ẹ máa ṣọ́ra olúkúlùkù yín lọ́dọ̀ aládùúgbò rẹ̀ kí ẹ má sì gbẹ́kẹ̀lé arákùnrin kárákùnrin nítorí pé olúkúlùkù arákùnrin fi àrékérekè ṣẹ̀tàn pátápátá àti olúkúlùkù aládùúgbò ń sọ̀rọ̀ ẹni lẹ́yìn. Ẹni kìíní ń tan ẹnì kejì rẹ̀ jẹ, wọn kò sì sọ òtítọ́, wọ́n ti kọ ahọ́n wọn láti ṣèké, wọ́n sì ti sẹ́ ara wọn láàárẹ̀ láti ṣe àìṣedéédé. Then English, it says, take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders. Verse 5, and they will deceive everyone his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, and weary themselves to commit iniquity. I'm telling you, this is what the Bible said. That is Revelation chapter 9 verse 4-5. So wọ́n sọ fún wọn làkejì because code ń jáde ní spiritual revelation jáde, tó bá fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan ńlá wàá sọ fáwọn èèyàn pé kan báyìí ni mò ń ṣe látijọ́ yìí. Ṣé o mọ oríṣiríṣi ọmọ ìyá tó ti sọ fún ọmọ ìyá pé àwọn ń kọ́lé tí lèèyàn ò dẹ̀ ṣe é kọ́ mọ́, tàbí tó ti sọ fún ẹni tó yẹ kó sọ fún nítorí pé ọ̀tá gbàbẹ̀ wọlé. Do you understand what is going on in life? Okay, o believe pé there is no concept of enemies again, àbí? Even láàrin ẹbí, láàrin ará, o ti gbàgbé Matthew 10:36, ó ní ara lé ẹni lọ́tá ẹni, àbí? So if that is even happen, is that religion that took that away? Your family must go away. Your cousin must stay. They must start their own life. It is not church. It is not religion. Stop pouring your frustration in the wrong direction. Once again, especially Christians. That's very horrible. I don't want to say it's stupid of you. You know, orí ìpè Kristi fín, orí ìjọ mímọ́, orí ìjọ Ọlọ́run fín, orí àwọn ẹni ìpè fín, especially you Christian. Ìwọ náà sọ̀rọ̀ ọwọ́ yẹn tí ẹ̀mí mọ́ bá fi ìdá gé dànù. You can imagine ìwọ náà náwó owó òṣì, especially you Christian. What's the meaning of that? Kí ló ń ṣe ẹ́ náà? Kí ló gbé tó ń gbé? You know, o dẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣé Christian ló ní káwọn cousin ẹ̀ fọ́ká? Dára ẹ padà sígbà yẹn kẹ́ ló máa jẹun nínú the same tray. Ẹ lọ́ máa jọ pín small solo coke lálẹ́ kẹjọ máa pín sórí ìdérí ọtí. Ọ̀kẹ́jọ lọ́ máa wo tẹlifíṣàn kẹ́ máa wo series Tova àti Tòkunbọ̀ Àjàyí lálẹ́. Ọ̀kẹ́jọ máa lọ gba pépà kẹjọ máa pẹ́ mu. But à ń lọ síbì kan ẹ máa rí ìdí tàbí sọ wípé this guy is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder.
As a matter of fact, my granddad was the owner of Queen of Sheba Hotel tó wà ní Ọ̀rẹ́. Those were the days tó jẹ́ wípé ìta la máa ń sùn tí ò sí olè tó máa wọlé.
Now, ẹ ti gbọ́ nǹkan tó sọ mẹ́ẹ̀, ó ní his granddad was the owner of Queen of Sheba Hotel ní Ọ̀rẹ́. All of you know Ọ̀rẹ́, and I'm sure that you know those times. His granddad is the owner of Queen of Sheba Hotel. Then his granddad has the biggest sawmill in Ibadan, E.O. Ogundele and Sons. And the only one that was very, very incompetent with their business was Adekombi Sawmill. But his father's own was big, was the most recognized, the most reckoned with. Now let's go. You ask yourself that why is Rotimi Daniel working in Canada? Tó ń ṣe iṣẹ́ ọmọ oní, tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ iṣẹ́ ọmọ onílùú kọ́ ló ń ṣe iṣẹ́ kí ló ti ń pè ṣe casual ní ká pè ní.
Tẹ́ bá rí ojú mi bó ṣe rí ń sìn, mo ṣe dé láti 12-hour night shift ní nínú òtútù, so mo ṣe délé ni mo ṣe ní pé kí n sáré ju eléyìí sílẹ̀.
If your grandfather was rich as at that time, then it should react in your life. Let's go and look at Aliko Dangote. Let's look at his own grandfather, what his grandfather did for him in the 70s and how it's reflected. I want us to see something here, because this guy comes here to talk as if, oh, his grandfather was rich. They were. Now, he said, according to AI, according to Google AI, he said Aliko Dangote received a significant loan of 500,000 from his grandfather or uncle, because that man was in the role of a grandfather at that time. That is Alhaji Dantata in 1977, which served as his initial capital, but he insists he built his empire from scratch, not through inheritance, repaying the loan quickly. While he came from a wealthy family, he emphasizes that his vast fortune was self-made, starting with trading commodities like cement, sugar, rice. After receiving this initial financial boost, now I want to see something. The key point is that initial capital was 500,000 loan in the late 1970s. Sources was his grandfather Alhaji Dantata, who was also his business mentor. Nature of funding: a loan to start his business, not inherited wealth. Then growth: used the fund to trade commodities, eventually paying the loan and expanding into manufacturing. Now, gbogbo alamo Dantata kó tó kú, I think he died last year, and we know the kind of wealth he left behind. He was specially buried in Saudi Arabia. Then all of us know Dangote. Just Google Aliko Dangote. Aliko Dangote. Aliko Dangote. Just Google Aliko Dangote. The story tells itself. Now this guy is telling you, this guy that is suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, is telling you here that his grandfather was so rich that he has the biggest sawmill in Ibadan. Then he has the hotel, the big hotel, Queen of Sheba Hotel in Ọ̀rẹ́, meaning that his father, and one of the videos, you see that he said his father has several chains of business. So he just mentioned two out of it: sawmill business and hotel business. Then you ask yourself, why is he in a poor state, shouting at pastors, cursing pastors, raining abuses on people, critics that write, just people that write just to ask him little questions and say, why did you do this? Kò ní dá fún ẹ, Ògún lá pa ẹ́ tọmọtọmọ, ẹ̀ṣọ̀pọ̀nà máa pa yín, Ògún ló máa fẹ̀jẹ̀ yín wẹ̀, ẹ̀ní jèrè ọmọ yín. Then you ask yourself, who is Rotimi Daniel? Does he come from that kind of an elite background? Why is he striving to survive in Canada? Why is he busy? Always finding, you will never see him in a very big environment. You see him in kubiku. Once in a while, tó bá délé àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ tó kàn aláwọ̀ ìkówé ló máa ṣe àwọn fídíò mi tẹ́ máa rí every other places. I am talking now in my own house in Lagos here. I'm talking. This is my sitting room. This is just a part of my sitting room. And to God be the glory. It's not by my power, but you are there asking, posting, brutalizing people's emotion. Now, what does that say? Is part of the key characteristic of narcissistic personality disorder, which say is a mental health condition marked by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy, often masking fragile self-esteem and vulnerability, leading to significant personal and social difficulties. Somebody that cannot even relate, he cannot even send somebody to go and investigate the story for him in Ekiti. The person born good, he couldn't take care of the person, he couldn't get it straight.
orúkọ mi ni Kọ́láwọlé Tèmítọ́pẹ́.
Kọ́láwọlé Tèmítọ́pẹ́.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ẹ̀yin fúnra ilé pè mí tẹ́ sọ wípé ẹ ní àwọn kankan tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣàlàyé pé ẹ̀yin ni ó lọ ṣe interview ní ọ̀dọ̀ ìyàwó Prophet Olúwalọ́ pé ohun tá à ń gbọ́ ní abẹ́lẹ̀ yẹn pé ẹ̀yin ni pé ẹ̀yin àti obìnrin kan lẹ́jọ́ wà ń bẹ̀. Ok, báwo lẹ ṣe lọ síbẹ̀, báwo lẹ ṣe débẹ̀, ta ló rán yín lọ bẹ̀?
Ṣẹ́rí ìgbà tí màá ti ìyàwó kọ̀ọ̀kan ti wá múra lórí kéèsì bàbá Olúwalọ́ yẹn àwọn kóòtù ní tí n bá ti fẹ́ wá wo ọmọ mi wọ́n ní kí n lọ wo ní orphanage kí n ra nǹkan fún kí n lọ wo kán lè mọ̀ pé mo tó bàbá ṣe so wá fún mi 15,000 kí n lọ fi wo. That was the first and then second time mo kàn dédé kó send 20,000 sí mi kò lè ṣẹlẹ̀ rí yẹn Awíkonko without anything pé bóyá mo.
Báwo ló ṣe màkáǹtì?
Ìjọ tó send 15,000 tí mo ní kí n lọ fi wo ọmọ mi ló ti lákàntì mi lọ́wọ́ ó kàn ní òun ti fún mi 20,000 ẹni wàá mọ̀ pé ọgbọ́n àrékèrèké ní láti rán mi níṣẹ́ tòrutòru torí iṣẹ́ tó rán mi tòrutòru ni ló lẹ́kìn sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wípé ojú mi ó ti wọ̀n jù lórí social media àga lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bàbá ó wá tún rán mi lọ sílùú bàbá ṣẹ́kẹ́tì ẹ̀bẹ̀ yẹn pé kí n lọ bàbá lọ Ìdó àti Fàkì ló rán mi lọ. Lẹ́kìtì state so ẹ mọ̀ ó wá ní tí mo mọ̀ kó máa bá mi rán ọmọ mi ní school tó ti bá dẹ̀ tún dé náà pé tí bá ti fẹ́ lọ ọmọ mi kó máa fún mi ní owó kó dẹ̀ máa compensate mi ṣe mọ̀ pé mi ní kúrò ẹni tó bá ń sọ́fà tó nídìí assistance àgbà mi iṣẹ́ tí ò yẹ kó jẹ́ àlọ́jẹ́ òun ló mú mi lọ jíṣẹ́ yẹn fún torí èmi gan mọ̀ pé nǹkan tí mo lọ fún yẹn is at risk now.
lọ́nà wo ló wà at risk.
nǹkan tó fi wà at risk ni pé ṣe mọ̀ ìwọ tí ó pé o ti ń ṣe program yẹn according to July 27 tí o ti láwọn fans o ti láwọn èèyàn èmi tó ṣe mọ̀ tí o ti ju 2 months ṣé o ti pé 2 months àtúmọ̀ mi ṣe understand o dẹ̀ láwọn fans ní Nàìjíríà èmi ló wá dédé pé tó rán olùṣẹ́ yẹn obìnrin kejì tó rán ní kájọ lọ ìyẹn ló ń lọ́pàá mo ti send photo ẹ̀ sí mi wàá mọ̀ bọ́ lọ́pàá ni ṣé o ti yẹ yín bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn.
kí lorúkọ ẹ̀?
Bùnmi ó wà lórí kíní omi ìyẹn tí mọ́ Bùnmi Ibítóyè kíní kan so àwájọ lọ ó lóun according to him ó send ìjọ kẹta tó send 20,000 sí mi ló wá pè nípa àwọn fẹ́ ràn mí iṣẹ́ tàní iṣẹ́ yẹn Awíkonko tó lè fún mi 20,000 ní kí n fi support yẹ kẹ́nìtì ó ṣàwà sí ó wá sọ fún mi wípé èló ló máa gbé mi láti Ìkòròdú dé Ìbàdàn go come torí ẹni yẹn wà ní Ìbàdàn so tí wàá fẹ́ yẹn ní owó mọ́tò àti everything tá a fẹ́ lọ ṣe lọ́hùn wá sẹ́ndì wọ́n á sọ fún pé ti di 13 ó ṣáà sẹ́ndì kíní sí mi ó sẹ́ndì 20,000 ó ní at least máa jẹ máa ní pocket money ok mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ nìyẹn adẹ̀ lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tìgbà tí màá yẹn máa sọ lórí kíní ó lóun fún mi lówó yẹn as pocket money ṣé owó tèmi tí mo fẹ́ lọ bá ẹ ṣiṣẹ́ níbì kan tó ní kí n lọ bẹ́yàn kan Ìbàdàn so owó tèmi ni màá fi wọ mọ́tò lọ sí Ìbàdàn wàhálà tí gbà tó máa sọ lánàá oníṣe ló ń kọ́ fún mi pocket money bóun ti fẹ́ nìyẹn lówó mọ́tò ìyẹn ló máa wá so ìgbà tí a wá dé Ìfàkì tí mo rẹ́ni ẹ̀dá dé Fàkì a wá débẹ̀ ìgbà táwọn kọ́ débẹ̀ ó ṣáà ti pè wá ní àtiwá bí a ti ń báyà sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ bàbá báyà ìyàwó kọ́ gbé wa lọ sọ́dọ̀ Major general ló fi yín àdírẹ́sì síbẹ̀ èmi dẹ́bi pé Major general táwọn kókó fi yín àdírẹ́sì yẹn it's like ó fi ń bring panic sí mind àwọn èèyàn bàbá yẹn wá dìbọ́ǹkì orúkọ yẹn kó tó sign ó ní òun ò ń ṣe Major general.
kí ló sign.
ìwé kíní yẹn gọ́ọ̀mì tí sẹ́ndì ẹ̀sìn àbí lẹ́tà tó lóun fẹ́ fi sùn bàbá Olúwalọ́.
pé kíni.
pé mi lè ka details yẹn pé lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Ìyábọ̀ Òjó tí n bá ti sẹ́ndì ẹ̀sìn yẹn àbí kí mú kí n kà.
ẹ má wọrẹ.
now ó wá sọ pé ìyẹn ni òun fẹ́ fi ṣe kíní ní ká mú wọn ká fọgbọ́n mú wọn kán sign yẹn.
so ó ní kẹ́ fi ọgbọ́n mú.
ká fọgbọ́n mú bàbá àti ìyàwó pé kí wọ́n lè sign ìwé yẹn àwa là ti gbọ́. ṣé ibi tá a ti ń ṣe ti bàbá lọ́wọ́ sà ni ó ti wá sẹ́ndì kíní sí mi voice note ó yá kí n gbé jáde kí n play ó ní ká jẹ́ kí ká make sure pé kí ìyá yẹn ká sọ fún pé kó pariwo ó wá sáré kọ́tì rẹ̀ pé kó pariwo ṣó ṣe ó wá sáré kọ́tì ó wá ní ká jẹ́ kó kígbe fọmọ Nàìjíríà pé kí wọ́n gbà.
Every other person around him dey fought him even his own fàájà movement àwọn fàájà ìgbọ̀n ti fa òun fúnra rẹ̀ já wọ́n ti fàájà yànmọ̀yànmọ̀ wọ́n ti fàájà jálajàla wọ́n ti fàájà játijàti you know so you ask yourself ẹni tó bá ti rora ẹ̀ jù tó rora ẹ̀ pé òun tó nǹkan òun ju nǹkan tó ń pìtàn tí ò bá gbà mu ó ń pìtàn tí ò bá àsìkò mu ìtàn jálujàlu ìtàn tí ò ní ìtumọ̀ ẹ wá béèrè pé kí ló fẹ́ gbà kí ló ń wá kí ló need that is that ó ní ìkọ́ tá à ń lọ you've seen that this guy said his grandfather Ogundele had several businesses then Aliko Dangote's grandfather Dantata had several businesses but he loaned Aliko 500,000 in the 70s. Today Aliko is a phenomenal business empire all around the world. Aliko is still alive. Aliko Dangote is alive. His businesses are scattered across Africa. But this guy, whose father was so rich with several businesses, who used to drive him in 300 SEL Benz among several cars, who used to take him to kitchen cook for him, to the extent that the grandfather could come to school and take him out of school and say he's not coming to school. You hear that one, no? He cannot even boast of one business. All he's doing is struggling in Canada. You see him at times sweeping blocks, sweeping ice and all that. At times you see him inside the bush cutting, whatever. Then they come and say he's doing a foundation for equity and justice. Just wait.
My granddad will basically come to school and tell Daddy G.O. Ogunmefun, the family that owned my primary school, Trinity Home Nursery and Primary School, Ogunmefun Loni, go and do your research. And mommy, was school low. Need job bye. My granddad will take me away from school. Ni Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Katodio diale Sunday, because we will have traveled. Gbogbo ìgbà tí grandma mi bá wà ní East lọ́dọ̀ firstborn wọn tí wọ́n bí sí family Nnamdi Azikiwe kí wọ́n tó fẹ́ grandpa mi.
Now you see that he has been able to reveal himself totally here. Your grandma will not be around. She will be in the East with her firstborn from busy family Nnamdi Azikiwe. Okay, meaning that your grandpa was her second husband. That's a good one. At least it shows why something happened within yourself and why you behave somehow. It's a good thing that you came out to say all these things by yourself. Then in this kind of an early school, Trinity Home Nursery and Primary School by G.O. Ogunmefun, what does it mean that your grandfather was not rich enough to get you a caregiver? That your grandfather will now come to tell the owner of your school that you are not coming to school Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? You ask yourself, how realistic is that? You see that he came out to say it himself. Then if that is true, you can see why he's poor in discretion and why he's poor in academic brilliance. That his daddy will take him and they will come back Sunday night. How can your dad take a small child going to a nursery and primary school out of school for 3 days? Does it mean that your dad was not rich enough or capable enough to get you a caregiver that could take you to school and take you back home? Does it mean that something was wrong somewhere that we don't know? What kind of parenthood did you have? What happened to your dad? What happened to your mom? Why were you there? But because your grandmom went to East to go and meet Nnamdi Azikiwe family, where she had her first child, she went to see maybe the father of her first child or something. I don't know how that you are trying to portray. I don't know who you are portraying your grandmom to be, but there is a whole lot of thing buried in that, in your decision to self-promote yourself, grandiose self-importance. You can see the way you are blowing yourself into pieces. You need help.
So meaning that I had step uncle, Ibeni, Igbo relatives, Itiwa, if you don't understand, Timban Solati Joy. There was a time I was allowed by my granddad, grandmom, picking lo sholide lodo awon cousin mi kan tí mo forúkọ bò láṣìírí. Every one of them is doing very well now. US, Canada, Australia. But what about the togetherness that we had when we were growing up? That is no longer there. I still miss those days. I still had the pictures. My posting one of the pictures, you understand where I'm coming from. That I'm so voracious about the teachings that we have today on the altars.
You can see now he's lamenting, hitting the table. What of the togetherness? What of the unity? Like I said the other time, why should you lay the blame in the front step of the church? You just use your mouth to say that some of them are doing well in Canada, in America, in Australia. Then in another 360-degree sentence, you are saying that you are still missing. Okay, do you want to be living with them in Canada? You want to be living with them in Australia? You want to be living with them in America? Then you are hitting the table. You nearly even bang your head on the table that you are missing those times. Do you want to recall those times? Then you have to tell God. You have to go back through recreation, because I don't know how you're going to recall it. You are blaming everybody. Those are the symptoms of NPD. Those are the symptoms. Ẹni tó ń ronú fantasies, preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, billion, beauty, or ideal love.
Money holiday 1 week. The love for my cousins was so much then that they were attending Methodist grammar school ní Bodija. I was changed from Loyola College to Sango High School due to proximity. I love them so much, and I still love them till date, that I even knew their school anthem more than my own school anthem, if we had any. And that's why when you're hearing me sing Methodist Grammar School, Bodija, Ibadan, founded on the road that cannot move in unity we stand, we can never be removed. We can never be removed. Up we go, up we go. Methodist. Our cousins me bang bomile ni was surprised.
Now, this place we are now, this is a special place. Ìgbà tó sọ̀rọ̀ dé level yìí, we did some investigation about him. Now, you ask yourself, he said something about, this kind of people, you have them in different organizations, you have them in family. Nǹkan tó jẹ́ ti tiwọn kò kí ń jọ wọ́n lójú. Nǹkan ní nǹkan ló máa ń jọ wọ́n lójú. Ẹgbọ́n tó fẹnu ara ẹ̀ sọ wípé ìgbà tó yá wọ́n change you from Loyola College ní Ìbàdàn to Sango High School. Then you ask yourself, if you are very intelligent, what is the pedigree of Loyola College and what is the pedigree of Sango High School? I think that Sango High School is now Humani Alaga School now. Now, let's ask ourselves about Loyola College. Let's see that school. Then Loyola College, LCI, is a boys-only government-owned college in Oyo State, Nigeria, funded by the Catholic missionary in 1954. It is located along Old Ife Road, Agodi area in Ibadan. Since its establishment, the school has produced notable alumni in medicine, engineering, law, politics, media, and other professions. That's Loyola. And as of this year, this school is 72 years old, because it was founded in 1954, and it's one of the most, it's one of the elite school, even from their logo. You can see from their logo. Now, you now ask yourself, Sango High School Ibadan. Yes. What do you find about that school, Sango High School Ibadan? Now, that Sango High School Ibadan is a good school. Right now, I learned that they have changed the name to Humani Alaga, formerly Sango High School in Ibadan. Somebody in Ibadan that is on this investigation was able to send us some information, and to God be the glory. I think the school celebrated their 40 years anniversary in the year 2022. Then, Rotimi Daniel was a student of that school. He told us that they changed him from Loyola College that we just read about, an elite school, to Sango High School. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, àwọn pictures yẹn ń kọ́, àwọn investigations ẹ bá a ṣe yẹn. Ó wà níbo? Ti Rotimi Daniel mo ń sọ o. Ti Rotimi Daniel mo ń sọ. Ti boy Rotimi Daniel mo ń sọ. Ẹni? Ó ti orúkọ school yẹn, yes, ó ti change. Yeah, ó ti change. Yes. Kí ló ń pè é sìn? Kí ló ń pè school yẹn sìn? Okay, Humani Alaga. Okay, good. Ẹni? Tí bá ti máa wá sí Ìbàdàn bóyá ti next week máa wá lórí investigation yẹn náà máa rí lawyer, yes. but ever me send our pictures if ever you get about Rotimi Daniel. No, ever ti send the write up, ever ti send write up pictures nìkan ni kẹ́ send mo ń ṣe fídíò lé lórí nsìn. Yes sir, yes sir. Ẹ ṣé. God bless you. God bless you. Yes, the person that just called is from Ibadan. You know, the person that is investigating, he helped us find some things about Rotimi Daniel, and we show them in the picture, in that picture. That school was founded in 1954. If you look at Ibadan Sango High School, Sango High School, it's now Humani Alaga. Humani Alaga, the school is named after a prominent Ibadan female activist who is also a trader, who has fought several war for women, for traders and all that. She has her name written in the very good book of the trade union in Oyo State. Umani Alaja, she's like a mominat. People respect her so much. So they changed that school. I'm not saying it's a bad school, but you look at the pedigree of the school, it's not as cozy as Loyola College. Then you ask yourself, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ láàrin Rotimi Daniel àti grandpa ẹ̀ kí ló tó mú kúrò ní Loyola, tó mú kúrò ní private school, tó mú lọ sí school bẹ́ẹ̀. Then you can now see that he was jealous. He said he was appreciating Methodist grammar school. That school was the best school in Ibadan. You know, Methodist grammar school. Let's look at that one. You know, he was appreciating Methodist grammar school. I want to look at that. Yes, there's a lot of things about that school too. It's another school that is very fantastic, really. The good thing is that Rotimi is soliloquizing that he used to go to Methodist, then he sang the song of the school. Then you ask yourself, what happened to his reputation at Sango High School in Ibadan, which has now turned to Humani Alaga. You know, let me see. Humani Alaga, yes. Somebody sending some pictures to us. You know, you look at the school. When the school clocked 40 years, Rotimi Daniel was in that school. He went there. We'll show you now. He was there. Yeah, he was there with them, and he did a lot with them. You know, I think they did a program around November in year 2020. You know, is it 2020? I think they did a program. I think 2020. They clocked 40 years of. Is it 2022? They clocked 40 years. And you saw Rotimi, you see Rotimi there, you see a lot of people who did wonderful things, with the school. You saw people that graduated from the school, how they were appreciated with one position or the other. But Rotimi was just a visitor, or just ordinary, official, maybe ordinary alumni member. They rather call themselves Songo. It's called Songo High School, Ibadan. Songo High School, Ibadan. Yes, that school, Humani Alaga High School, is located in Ibadan North local government area, Oyo State, Nigeria, though it was formerly known as Songo High School before being renamed in honor of a philanthropist, Alhaja Humani Alaga. The school has faced challenges with dilapidated infrastructure in recent years, prompting concern for alumni and the community. Ibadan North local government, Oyo State, Nigeria. It was established as Songo High School in 1980. Renamed Humani Alaga High School in year 2003. Status facing infrastructure decay, with alumni seeking government intervention for repairs. This is what the school that Rotimi Daniel came out from. This is what is going on there. So you now ask yourself, ẹni tó lọ sí school bẹ́ẹ̀, tó lọ sí environment yẹn, ní school yẹn ò dá o, but you can imagine the quality of his thinking. Something happened somehow, somewhere along the line that nobody can pinpoint. It appears that there is an accident of nature that happened. But this guy comes and starts talking as if he came from a very elitist background. He's talking about his grandfather having several cars, his grandfather having a big sawmill in Ibadan, his grandfather having a big hotel in Ore, his grandfather having several chains of businesses, his grandfather coming to the school to tell the owner of the school that my child is not coming, I'm taking him on holiday, I'm taking him on a journey, week in, week out, that we leave school. How can somebody that leaves school from Wednesday to Friday be so brilliant? Then he gives you the picture that his grandmother will always travel to the east to go and meet the family of her first husband, to go and see her son that she born in the east. And you ask yourself, what kind of family is that? What is he talking about? And those are the kind of things we look at and we say, this guy is probably suffering from an emotional condition. He's suffering from an emotional condition called NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, which comes with a whole lot of baggages.
I was at their place, in Sobe, for holiday, maybe for 1 or 2 weeks. I was becoming sad. Wípé time tí holiday yẹn máa parí tí ń tán o, pé màá tún padà sọ́dọ̀ grandpa àti grandma and everything. Do you know what happened one night or one day? À ń sọ wípé aunty mi tó jẹ́ mom àwọn cousin mi yìí wọn ò sí lẹ́gbà yẹn, wọ́n máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ olópò different states because she was very good cooking and everything. Àwa ń ṣeré lọ́sàn-án pé ká ní mọ́mì dẹ̀ wà lé irú èní ní ìrántí occasion yẹn wípé but ká ní mọ́mì sí wà lé a máa mu mineral. Ìbàjẹ́ Coke àti Fanta or Sprite a máa mú gbà yẹn. Those were the years tí Solo wà ń ta.
Now, in that broadcast, I will want you to go and watch the remaining on his channel. Maybe You can see more. We have the full video, but we just decided to just stop it there. A lot of things happened. A lot of things he said there. And when we look at the key characteristics of NPD, we saw grandiose self-importance. You've seen that one in the video. That is exaggerating achievement, expecting to be recognized as a superior without commensurate accomplishes. Right now, it tells you that his grandfather was rich with hotels, with several chains of businesses, with sawmill business, with several cars in his garage, with the opportunity to take him out of school at any time without returning him back to school, even telling you that he was the best in his school in terms of current affairs. Then eventually he landed in UI, he did this, he did that. But you look at his achievement now, it does not commensurate with what he's talking about. Even you look at the school, secondary school he graduated on, Umani Alaga, which is formerly Songo High School at Ibadan North. I know Ibadan North local government is a very populist area. Then you look at him talking about they took him out of Loyola College because of proximity so that he can go to Methodist. And you ask yourself, why didn't he take him to that Methodist that is always crying about, talking about, singing their anthem? He can't sing Umani Alaga anthem, but he can't sing that other school that the infrastructure is suffering now that needs intervention. Though. Maybe he should have even face his school, his alma mater, instead of abusing men of God, abusing pastors. He would have just taken that as a project to rebuild the fallen walls of Umani Alaga High School, or Ibadan. So the second one is fantasies. Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. That is one of the syndromes of somebody suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. Then need for admiration, require constant excessive praise and attention. They like to be praised, and you can see that from some of his members at Faja who are trying to fa òun fúnra rẹ̀ já. Ẹ rí i pé ó láì kọ́ máa pọ́n òun lé, sọ fún bàbá Adébáyọ̀ pé kí ló fi mí pè, ẹ ń fi mí kí ló ti lo language jàtijàti tó lò yẹn. So he want to be praised, need for admiration, requires constant excessive praise and attention. Then sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectation of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with their expectations. You can imagine. That's why he was abusing Baba Adebayo, saying that he didn't talk to him. Enfimi Lagunja or something like that. That the Baba is not answering him because he sent text to him. He want to find out somebody that said the Baba took money from her and she cannot tell us what the money was for or something. Somebody that just brought, a very unfortunate petition, Enfimi like Digu or something. And you see the way he was saying it with so much arrogance. That I want to yellow below, I want to move the paper on chaos. Okay, you don't want to want to charge you from rubbish, don't you? Or feel pay you are doing the right thing. Is that how to do journalism? Is that how to be responsible? So sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectation of especially favorable treatment, automatic compliance with their expectation. Then lack of empathy, that's another symptom. Unwilling or unable to identify with the feeling and needs of others. And that's what his members are saying, the Faja movement. That he does not appreciate their feeling, he talks to people anyhow, even to the extent that they say he rubbishes his mom, he talks to his mom rudely, without empathy, that because he feels that he knows too much, that is NPD in action. Then the next one is exploitative behavior. Takes advantage of others to achieve their own ends. And that's what happened. Even with the man that you sent to investigate that story in Ekiti, the man said you exploited him, you didn't appreciate him, you didn't give him enough to care for himself, and you didn't care what happened to him. This kind of people, they use people. It means one by information lẹ́nu èèyàn, wọ́n tún sọ èèyàn yẹn, wọ́n tún sọ sínú wàhálà. It does not have a sense of duty, a sense of service, a sense of empathy. So exploitative behavior is part of it, taking advantage of others to achieve their own ends. Then envy, often envious of others or believes that others are envious of them. That is why you can see that I said it earlier on that people like Maureen Badejo, when they reach out to him, he tried to dodge them, he will not pick their call. Àwọn kan ti wà lẹ́nu ẹ̀ tipẹ́ tó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn tọ́lọ́run dẹ̀ fún wọn ṣe. Ó dẹ̀ mọ̀ tó ti ń gba ọgbọ́n tó fi ń ṣe. People like Mrs. Ashekun, we not want to reach out to him. He playing them because he believes that he has arrived. He believes that, oh, they are envious of him. Oh, he's bigger than them. You know, oh, Moshe, oh, they're more. Oh, Mononi, you are a practical failure for even cursing people. You are a total failure, a blatant failure. You need help. You need to be rescued. And with time, the social order will rescue you, either by punishment or by rehabilitation. One thing will happen, you know. Then arrogant behavior comes across as haughty, conceited, or arrogant. Yes, it's part of the NPD syndrome. Arrogant behavior. Talk to people anyhow, rubbish them, even to the extent that you are talking to Baba Adeboye Igbomosin. You talk to Baba Adebayo anyhow, Tanye, Mr. Adebayo, asking that Tanye, Tanye Adebayo, and you see, these are people that are elderly, they are more than you in age. Oh, ní ìrẹ̀lẹ̀, and the really 1 Timothy 5:1 tó ní ká máa fi ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ bá àwọn àgbàlagbà sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá tẹ̀ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tó bá tẹ̀ kọjá ayé wọn, ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ ni wọ́n fi ń bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀, kì í ṣe pé wàá máa ṣépè wàá máa sọ̀rọ̀. So it's part of it. Arrogant behavior comes across as haughty, conceited, or arrogant. Then the last one is fragile self-esteem. Fragile self-esteem despite outward confidence. Emagbo, Rotimi Daniel is suffering from this one 100%. Despite outward confidence, they often have low self-esteem and are highly sensitive to criticism, reacting with rage or shame. 100%, because kò sí tẹ́ bá kọ anything nípa ẹ̀ kàn bu èpè ló máa fi ránṣẹ́. Tẹ́ bá sọ anything nípa Rotimi, á ṣe fídíò abẹ́rẹ́ sí ní ṣépè, á máa gbá àwọn èèyàn ṣépè. And you know, this NPSD will take you to the next level. Àwọn tó ń gbéyàn ṣépè. Nítorí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ wọ́n ní other issues and complications, relationship problems, difficulty forming stable reciprocal relationships due to lack of empathy and expectation. Yes, other mental health conditions often co-occurs with depression, anxiety, eating disorder, substance abuse, or other personality disorder, functional impairment, significant problem at work, school, or in social settings. So wọ́n ní treatment irú nǹkan tó ń ṣe ni pé psychodynamic therapy is a primary treatment approach focusing on understanding the underlying self-esteem issues and emotional regulation difficulties. This is the sickness that is facing this young man, and if you look at it critically from the story he told about his family, from the short aspect we took to narrate him, you can see that he's suffering from NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. He has it in large form. That's why he can talk and say, as I belong go on rubbish pastor. Then he and his co-conspirator, he and Godfather, their father. Godfather is his own father. Then he called himself general. So they are to ring, to talk down on men of God, to go and look for their dirtiness, to find both the fake and truth, destroy them. So when you now look at it now, when you look at the issue of fragile self-esteem, whereby he said despite outward confidence, they often have low self-esteem and are highly sensitive to criticism, reacting with rage or shame. Rage in the sense that Rotimi is always reacting with rage of koma shepe epe.
Ayé gbogbo yín máa bàjẹ́ ní tọmọtọmọ. Ẹ̀yin olóṣì olórí burúkú yìí. Orí yín ti gbálẹ̀, orí yín ti burú. Ẹ̀yin olóṣì, ẹ̀yin àgbà òṣì àgbà rádaràda yìí. Kò ní yẹ yín, kò ní yẹ ìrandíran yín. Wọ́n mọ̀ gbọ́ orúkọ yín lẹ́yìn wọ́ọ̀la. Àwọn èèyàn ò ní fẹ́ ní nǹkan ṣe pẹ̀lú yín, pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ tẹ́ bá fi sílẹ̀. O ò ní rí bá ti ṣe, ò ní rọ́nà gbígbà. O ti dohun ègbè fáwọn òbí ẹ̀. Wọn ò ní ká nǹkan kan lórí ẹ̀. Ó digi eléso tó ti gbẹ lórí ìdúró. O ò tún rí bá ti ṣe, mọ̀ rọ́nà gbígbà. Mo rò pé olórí burúkú ni gbogbo yín. Ẹ̀yin olórí burúkú aláyébàjẹ́ yìí. Àtẹ̀yìn àtàwọn pásítọ̀ tẹ ní wọ́n ń buyẹ̀ ẹ̀ níjọ ṣe oríire papọ̀. Gbogbo tẹ́ ti fojú ọwọ́ yín kó jọ lẹ́ máa fẹ̀yìn ọwọ́ dànù. Gbogbo yín pátá látòkè délẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin olórí burúkú bàbá má ṣàǹfààní. Láwọn bàbá olórí burúkú olè. Akúmọ̀mọ̀nàrún. Àgbà lọ́wọ́ mẹ́rin balẹ̀ jàǹtolo. Mo ń padà bọ̀ fún yín.
Kò sí nǹkan tó bá sọ èpè. Bó ṣépè, á ṣépè fún bàbá, á ṣépè fún ọmọ, á ṣépè fún gbogbo fámìlì. Ìyẹn lásán ó yẹ kó ti sọ fún irú èèyàn tó jẹ́ bó ń ṣàárẹ̀. Is having emotional disease. Is having emotional àárẹ̀ ọgbọ́n ọdẹ orí ń dà láàmú ẹ̀. That is one thing about narcissistic people. Ọdẹ orí, àwọn ọlọ́dẹ orí, ó bí pé òun lè mú anybody kóun sọ̀rọ̀ sí. Kò dẹ̀ ní làákàyè, wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe investigation. kò ní láìka ó kàn tẹ̀lé báṣubàṣubàṣu tẹ̀lé lójú tẹ̀tàn lójú. Ṣé ìwọ ló ń dáyé fún ni? So o ní ọgbọ́n, àwọn tó ti yẹ kó tún fẹ́ lọ́gbọ́n o tún ń wo ra ìgbà rẹ̀ pé o tóbi jù wọ́n lọ. Ṣé o fẹ́ tóbi ju Maureen Bàdéjọ lọ, àbí o fẹ́ tóbi ju Fúnkẹ́ Àṣekún lọ, àbí o fẹ́ tóbi ju Ìyá Àdùnní talk show lọ, àbí o fẹ́ tóbi ju car talk car truth lọ, àbí o fẹ́ tóbi ju àwọn tó ti bá ń bẹ̀? O ò lè tóbi tó wọn, o ò lè tó ẹsẹ̀ bàtà wọn. You are just Robbie Rouse ayọkàn wà nù yàrá kọ̀ọ̀kan dárúwó pa o mọṣẹ́ yẹn ń ṣe àfi èpè because you have a very terrible low self-esteem, and we are saying that God will help you. I'm not angry o, I'm just trying to relate what you are to you so that you can understand yourself and based on what your members said about you. Then nípa títí èpè máa fẹ́ kó wo àwọn videos wọ̀nyí, kó wo nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ yìí pé ó máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sẹ́ni tó bá ń ṣépè, bí èpè ṣe máa ń rìn, kó má jẹ́ pé àwọn èpè tó ń ṣẹ́ yẹn ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣiṣẹ́ lára ẹ̀. Ìwọ náà ó yà ẹ́ lẹ́nu ní November báwọn mẹ́mbà ẹ̀ bọ́n ṣe tú síta, bọ́n ṣe bínú sí ẹ, bọ́n ṣe já síta, gbogbo wọn ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní bá ẹ jà. So kọ́ má rí pé èpè ti ń jà ẹ́, even gan Godfather tó gbọ́kànlé gan ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣépè fún ẹ, ó ti ń bá ẹ jà débi pé o ṣe fídíò lé lórí ìgbà tó rí pé kó má jẹ́ pé òun ló sá nǹkan sí ẹ, o tún sáré gbé fídíò yẹn wálẹ̀, gbọ́dọ̀ wọ́n dídé àwọn kan ti ní fídíò yẹn lọ́wọ́. So you have a whole lot of challenge, you have a lot of dynamic challenge. Gbọ́ nǹkan tí àfáà sọ nípa èpè.
Èpè nǹkan burúkú ni èpè, kéèyàn sì máa ṣépè kódà, torí gbogbo ẹni yòówù tó bá jẹ́ ẹni tó bá ń ṣépè lọ́jà alábòsí èèyàn. Àwọn kan ga máa lo ìwo láti fi ṣépè, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn kan sì máa bínú orí Ọlọ́run tọ́lọ́run bá ṣe fẹ́ nìkan. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ bá ṣe wá ń bí orí Ọlọ́run tó lára ẹni yẹn tó ń ṣépè sí, déédéé iye èpè tẹ́ni ẹ bá ṣẹ́ kó lọ mọ̀ dájú yí pé kó náà máa retí Ọlọ́run pẹ̀lú èpè tó bá ṣẹ́hun. Ó dàbí kí èèyàn ṣépè èpè bíi 20 fún yàn, déédéé èpè 20 tó bá ti mọ̀ pé ara òun lè gbà, torí èpè ń padà bọ̀ wá gbélépè. Tó fi jẹ́ pé ànábì Ọlọ́run gan, ànábì Nuhu alayhi salatu wa salam, ó jíṣẹ́ fún over 1000 years ló fi jíṣẹ́ fún àwọn jàmá àwọn ìjọ rẹ̀ tọ́lọ́run rán sí. Òkò náà máa ń lé ànábì Ọlọ́run yìí. Ànábì Nuhu wọ́n wá lẹ̀ lóko lọ́jọ́ kan débi pé ọmọ ọdún méjì náà tún wá ní ọmọ ọdún méjì, ọmọ tí ọjọ́ ọmọ ọdún méjì ló tún wá sọ fún bàbá ìpínlẹ̀ fóònù náà lóko, òun náà fẹ́ lè má ànábì Nuhu. Nínú wá bí ànábì Nuhu, ànábì Ọlọ́run alayhi salatu wa salam, ló wá fi wá fún àjọ rẹ̀ lépè, àwọn àjọ rẹ̀ lépè. Bada usubillahi minash shaitani rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa qala Nuhu rabbi lan tazarili ala al-ardi minal kafirina dayyara. Ó wà ní suratu Nuhu, ìparí suratu Nuhu ní àyà náà wà tí ànábì fi ṣépè fún àwọn àjọ rẹ̀. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá jí wá jẹ́lé pé ènìyàn, déédéé èpè tó sẹ́hun iná ní padà bọ̀ wá bá. Alábòsí lélépè. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ààyè ni wọ́n gbé ṣépè. Kódà gan àwọn Abúlábì fámílì ànábì sallallahu alaihi wasallam ni ìmọ̀ ló ń ṣe ìbàdí ànábì. Fún di súrà ànábì fún Abúlábì lépè, tabbati yada Abúlábì wa tabba. So èpè ó dá, èpè kéèyàn máa bínú orí Ọlọ́run lára èèyàn. Tó bá sì wọ́n ń bínú yẹn tó ń ṣépè, déédéé èpè tí ń ṣẹ̀yẹn náà ni ó máa padà bọ̀ náà fún fẹ́lẹ́pè. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ pé wọ́n à ní nígbẹ̀yìn gbogbo àwọn elépè, torí pé èpè kò kí ń yé nǹkan. Ẹni ìyè lọ́lọ́run sì fẹ́ jẹ́ ká jẹ́. Ọlọ́run fẹ́ jẹ́ ká yè, tá a bá yè tán ká wá yè ayé ni. Ẹni tí bá ń ṣépè tàbí tí ń bínú orí Ọlọ́run lára èèyàn kò yé ayé. Èpè kéèyàn máa ṣépè, gbogbo nǹkan tó bá jẹ́ nǹkan ìmọ́lẹ̀ látọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run kéèyàn máa tàbùkù rẹ̀, kó máa ṣépèlú, kó máa sọ di òkùnkùn. Ìbínú èpè nìyẹn. Kán ṣépè, kán sọ nǹkan tó jẹ́ nǹkan ìmọ́lẹ̀, kán sọ dòkùnkùn. Gbogbo àti máa síbẹ̀ pátá ìgbésí ayé tí wọ́n náà padà bọ̀ wá dòkùnkùn, torí gbogbo ohun téèyàn bá ṣe láyé ni máa ń ṣèyàn. So èpè ṣe nǹkan tó dáa. Ọlọ́run sì ní ká tètè ṣẹ́rí padà lórí ogun tá à ń bá ń ṣe. Torí náà láàfó gàfúrọ̀ yín lọ́lọ́run ọba aláforíjì ni tó bá foríjì tán yóò tún wá kẹ́yàn, ṣùgbọ́n kì í ṣe bíi ti elépè ẹni tó ba nǹkan jẹ́. Bọ́lá ó ṣe ẹ̀dáríjì yóò gbẹ̀san èpè tó sẹ́hun, yóò gbẹ̀san ìmọ́lẹ̀ tó sọ dòkùnkùn, yóò gbẹ̀san orí Ọlọ́run torí lára ẹnìkan tí wọ́n ń bínú tí wọ́n fi ń fẹ́ni lélépè, kò mọ̀ pé Ọlọ́run ní ń dún lára ẹni tóun ń fún lépè òun. Kò gbà fún orí Ọlọ́run lára ẹnu. Èpè tí wọ́n ń fún ẹlòmíì, èpè físíkà wà, àwọn kan ṣẹ̀ tó wá níwo tán fi ń ṣépè tán fi ń bà tèèyàn jẹ́. Gbogbo wọn pátá náà ni wọ́n bọ́ Ọlọ́run pàdé, gbogbo torí Ọlọ́run balẹ̀ ayé tiwọn náà jẹ́ ni. Gbogbo tá a bá ń ṣe láyé iná padà bọ̀ àṣà wa náà. Ẹni tí bá ń yẹ ayé tiẹ̀ náà ń bọ̀ ayé. Ẹni tí ò bá yẹ ayé tiẹ̀ náà ò ní yé. Kìí ṣèpè. So ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run ni. Ọlọ́run àtẹ̀mí àti ẹ̀yin Ọlọ́run wọ́n ṣàwá sí wa dáadáa. Gbogbo oore tọ́lọ́run ṣe fún wa tí ó yè wá tá a yẹ ayé ń bẹ̀ ní kọ́lọ́run ṣe fún wa. Gbogbo oore tọ́lọ́run ṣe fún wa tá a yè tá a ní lè yẹ ayé Ọlọ́run wọ́n fi wá sínú sáfù bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ọlá àbáríkà títóbi Ọlọ́run.
Islam sọ pé tí wọ́n bá ṣépè fún yàn, èpè tán ṣẹ́ fún yàn ní kíá tí wọ́n bá ti ṣẹ́ fún yàn, hadith anabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam yóò mórí lé sámà, yóò fẹ́ sáwọ sámà, wọ́n tilẹ̀kùn sámà wájú ẹ̀, yóò fẹ́ wọlẹ̀, wọ́n tilẹ̀kùn lẹ̀ wájú ẹ̀. Ìgbà náà ni wọ́n ṣe wá mórí lé ẹni tó ṣẹ́ fún. Tẹ́ni tó ṣẹ́ fún bá lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí yóò ṣiṣẹ́ lára rẹ̀, tí ó bá lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí yóò padà fàbọ̀ fẹ́lẹ́pè. Torí ẹ̀ èpè tó bá ti lè rù mọ́sẹ̀ o. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ayé rẹ̀ tó rúrú rárá tó rárá rúrú, èpè tó ti sẹ́ lọ ń jẹ níyà. Ó ṣépè fẹ́ni tí ò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí, ìwọ ló jìyà rẹ̀. Èpè kì í lọ lásán.
Now, àwọn àfáà méjì ló ti gbọ́ yẹn, and one of them is Alfa Eleni, Eleni ní ìlú Ọ̀yọ́. Àwọn náà lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn sì lọ sọ nǹkan tí èpè máa ń ṣe fún yàn, ohun tí èpè túmọ̀ sí, bí èpè ṣe máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ àwọn tó ń ṣépè. Nítorí most of àwọn tó ń ṣépè fún yẹn náà ìmọ́lẹ̀ Ọlọ́run ti tàn lára wọn. Àwọn tó ń bínú sí i, tó ní wọ́n kówó jẹ yìí, tó lọ́n gba owó àwọn èèyàn, ìgbàgbọ́ àwọn èèyàn mú wọn lára dá ni àwọn yẹn ṣe ń rí oúnjẹ jẹ. Ìgbàgbọ́ wọn mú wọn lára dá, àwọn tó ń sọ̀dá mẹ́wàá ìgbàgbọ́ wọn mú wọn lára dá, àwọn tó ń san owó ọrẹ ìgbàgbọ́ wọn mú wọn lára dá, àwọn tó ń ra mọ́tò fún Adébóyè ìgbàgbọ́ wọn mú wọn lára dá, àwọn tó ń ra jet fún Adébóyè ìgbàgbọ́ wọn mú wọn lára dá. Nígbà tó Ọlọ́run bùkún wọn tí wọ́n wò pé kí làwọn tó fẹ́ ṣe, wọ́n ti dá sí ìjọ, wọ́n ti dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tí ó jẹ́ mẹ̀kúnnù lẹ́yìn sàkáání wọn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ wò pé káwọn tọ́jú ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run tó mú ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run bá wọn tí ayé wọn fi nítumọ̀. So ìwọ wá jókòó sójú kan, ó ń ṣépè, ó ń sọ pé Ọlọ́run á ṣe kinní kan, Ọlọ́run á ṣe gbá, ẹ̀kọ́ òdì. Àmọ́ pé ẹ̀kọ́ òdì wà nínú ìjọ, ṣùgbọ́n ò bá attend sí yẹn kó o sọ ẹ̀kọ́ tó jẹ́ òdì, èyí tó kù fi lé àwọn ọmọ Ọlọ́run lọ́wọ́. Tí Bíbélì bá ní ká san ìdá mẹ́wàá, a lè yí padà, àásán náà ni. Tí Bíbélì bá ní ká san ọrẹ, kí ni ìdá mẹ́wàá wà fún? Sọ pé ìwọ bó ṣe ń ṣe Canada yẹn sì wọ́n sanwó fún ẹ, they are not paying you. Báwo ló yẹ fẹ́ gbélé ayé? Báwo ló yẹ fẹ́ ṣe? Kọ́ ni kó máa ṣe for the community sake. Bóyá kò tiẹ̀ lọ gbé ní North Korea, kó wá máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún wọn bẹ́ẹ̀, kó wá rí bọ́n ṣe ń tọ́jú àwọn èèyàn ní North Korea, àwọn communist society. Now, ìdá mẹ́wàá wà fún àwọn ọmọ Léfì tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ Olúwa tó wọ́n ní nǹkankan. Ó wà fún àwọn opó, ó wà fún àwọn ọmọ aláìní bàbá, ó dẹ̀ wà fún àwọn àlejò. Nínú ìjọ àlejò máa ń wà. Ìwọ náà wò nínú most of the church tó wà, ìgbà mi àlejò àwa fún ẹ, fáwọn tó ń ṣe ni o, àwọn kan wà tó ń ṣe o. Àwọn tó ń ṣe yẹn tó bá bọ́ sí ẹ lọ́wọ́, o lè bá wọn wí, o lè sọ̀rọ̀. Then a mọ̀ pé òun sọ nípa ti ọgbọ́n, a mọ̀ pé òun kọ́ wọn ní nǹkan tó yẹ kó fowó yẹn ṣe. But o lè sọ pé wọ́n gbàdé mẹ́wàá, wọ́n useless video tó ṣe, tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kọrin, ìwọ náà wòra ẹnu fídíò yìí.
Jésù Olúwa wa, àmín 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 lórúkọ Jésù. Ẹ kọrin, ẹ gbóhùn orin ìsókè sí Ọlọ́run, a fẹ́ gbàdúrà kan. Ẹ jọ gbogbo ẹ̀yin dá ẹ bá sùn nígbèjọpẹ́, ẹ jí wọn, ẹ̀yin ushering ẹ jí wọn, ẹ jẹ́ nsòyìnbó ayẹyẹ. Ẹ̀yin ushering ẹ jí wọn. Gbogbo ẹni tó wà lórí ìjókòó ẹ dìde. Ẹ má fi láìfù yín ta fàlà lásìkò tàbí ó lágbára gan. Ẹ kọ orin
wọ́n ní gbogbo ẹni tó ń ṣe bí ọba lórí ayé mi o tọ́lọ́run ò fi jọba tó fira rẹ̀ jọba tó ní lẹ́yìn ọlọ́run òun ló dẹ̀ tún kù o ẹ̀mí mímọ́ rọ̀ wọ́n lóye kàn yé ṣe bí ọba. Ẹ gbóhùn àdúrà yìí sókè. Gbogbo ẹ̀mí tó ń lò ní gbọ́ fún ibi kí ni mo pè é? Orúkọ Jésù lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́rin, Hòsánà lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta, ẹwà gáníṣì ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ògo lẹ́ẹ̀méjì. Gbogbo ẹ̀mí tó ń lò ní gbọ́ fún ibi. Ó yẹ ní àṣálẹ̀ ẹgbọ́n lọ́la. Ní orúkọ Jésù, ní orúkọ Jésù, ní orúkọ Jésù. Bàbá ó yá lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta. Jésù Olúwa wa, àmín, àmín, àmín lórúkọ Jésù. Ṣé ti gbà tán? Ẹ jẹ́ n tún táṣìírí ẹ̀mí alónigbó kan fún yín lẹ́nu, alónigbó fún ibi. Ibi tí màá pa ẹ́ wà, ibẹ̀ ni màá gbá ẹ wà. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń bílíìfù yìí pé ìdá mẹ́wàá yìí lélẹ́dùmarè nílò láti fi bùkún yín, ẹ jẹ́ ń já yín sí nǹkan kan. For example, nínú ilé tó yẹ pé bàbá ń gba 100,000 lóṣù, ìyá ń gba 100,000 lóṣù. Mo kàn á assume ní o, torí most millions of homes ò rí tó 50,000 lóṣù Nàìjíríà sìn, ẹ̀dẹ̀ ń san táìtì àdákù lówó ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì. Bàbá wa yọ 10,000, ìyá náà yọ 10,000 torí rìdíìmù, wínàsì, Deeper Life, CAC, Omega Fire Ministry, MFM, Rhapsody àbí kí ẹ máa dábàá ń dárúkọ wọn ibẹ̀ lẹ́ ń lọ. Now nínú 200,000 income bàbá àtìyá wọ́n ti yọ 20,000, ó wá kù 180,000. Nínú 180,000 yẹn wọ́n wá láwọn ọmọ méjì tó ń lọ yunifásitì, tán wà ní College of Education, tí wọ́n wà ní Polytechnic. Tọ́ owó school yín rèé o, owó oúnjẹ yín upkeep yín ó rèé o. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn bàbá olórí burúkú máa ṣàǹfààní, àwọn àgbà lọ́wọ́ mẹ́rin balẹ̀ jàǹtolo tẹ́mi àti wọ́n dẹ̀ ti wọ ṣòkòtò kan náà sẹ́, àwọn èèyàn máa bọ́ níṣẹ́. Ẹ máa wojú mi ìbójú sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn èèyàn máa bọ́ ní àwọn inú òkùnkùn yẹn tẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́, inú ìgbèkùn tẹ́ẹ̀dẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́, wọ́n máa bọ́ by fire by force. It is a fight to finish. Àwọn ọmọ yẹn wá gbé báàgì wọn wọ́n lọ skul. Ǹjẹ́ mọ̀ pé ẹ̀yin bàbá olórí burúkú yìí ẹ tún lọ kọ́ àwọn ṣọ́ọ̀bù yín sáwọn skul káàkiri, ẹ pè ní student fellowship, níbi tó yẹ káwọn ọmọ ti máa ṣe inventions oríṣiríṣi. Ẹ tún gbá àwọn kámpù yín, àwọn fellowship yín, ẹ tún gbé kalẹ̀ síbẹ̀. If you think I'm kidding, go to University of Ibadan, ẹ lọ sí Chapel of Resurrection, kẹ́ ẹ lọ wo nǹkan táwọn student ń ṣe ń bẹ̀. Ẹ máa rí wọn, àdúrà náà máa láwọn ń gbà. Àdúrà ó bani lójú jẹ́, ó bani lọ́kàn jẹ́, ó tì ní lójú lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀. Lára owó tó tún wá fún àwọn ọmọ yìí, ẹ tún máa wá sọ fún wọn, ẹ̀yin bàbá olórí burúkú yìí, ẹ máa wá sọ fún àwọn ọmọ yẹn wípé ẹ̀ ń kọ́ wọn torí kékeré ni ìmọ̀lẹ́ ti ń kọ́ ọmọ ẹ̀ lásọ̀, wípé káwọn náà lẹ́ẹ̀mọ́ ṣe ń fún Ọlọ́run. So lára owó tí bàbá àtìyá tún wá struggle láti fún ọmọ ní school, ẹ̀yin bàbá ẹ̀ tún ń ṣe, ẹ̀ tún gbà ń bẹ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀, all in the names of tithe and offering. Ẹ tún máa gbà yẹn náà, wọ́n tún send ẹ̀ sáwọn headquarters yín. Ṣé olórí mo máa ń béèrè, olórí burúkú lẹ́yìn bàbá yìí, àtún gbọ́dọ̀ dárúkọ yín nínú fọ́nrán yìí, ṣùgbọ́n ẹ ti mara yín láti redeem ní o, winners ní o, ṣogun ro ní o, Deeper Life, MFM ní o, gbogbo yín pátá kásọ̀, kí làwọn fellowship ta ní UI gbà yẹn náà. So meaning that in a home you are collecting more than 40% of their income. Torí náà ni bàbá àtìyá náà nínú òkú ẹrú wèrè tán fira wọn sí tọ́lọ́hún òfin wọn sí, inú ẹ̀ náà ti wọ mọ́tò lọ wọ mọ́tò bọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta ó kéré jù lọ́sẹ̀. Ṣé ẹ fẹ́ pa wọ́n ni?
ẹ̀yin gan kọ́ ló tiẹ̀ yẹ kárí bá wí, ẹ̀yin gan tẹ́ ń ṣerú nǹkan báyìí ṣé ọpọlọ yín ti jòrò ni? ẹ lè tọ́jú ara yín nínú ilé, ẹ wọ́n ń sáré pé kọ́lọ́ ọmọ bá bínú sí yín, ẹ gbúdọ̀ lọ bá bàbá wèrè kan. Wọ́n ti gbàgbà wọ́n ti yọ gẹ̀gẹ̀ lọ́rùn, wọ́n ti míì ti ṣuké lọ́rùn, ìmí ìbọn ṣe ń wò lélẹ̀ ó ṣojú bí ojú àyá. ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń tẹ̀lé wọn lókùtà máa rọ egbò níyẹn àmọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ata sí yín torí ọpọlọ yín ti yọ pẹ̀lú bá a ṣe ń gba ọmọ adìẹ yín lọ́wọ́ ọkú náà. Ṣé lẹ́ sọ pé àjẹkẹ́ àràkìtàn lọ jẹun ẹ̀ sì ní jẹun tí ó yò ní òdìgbà tẹ́ bá tó bọ́sẹ̀. Neighbor yín ò rí oúnjẹ jẹ ẹ lè fún neighbor yín ṣùgbọ́n kọ́lọ́ lè bless yín lẹ̀ ṣe ń fáwọn bàbá yìí. Nígbà tó yẹ pé irọ́ ló jára bá àwọn yẹn náà jù, irọ́ ló easy jù fún wọn. Mo ń padà bọ̀ fún yín. A ṣe live video ní ọ̀la Thursday. Ṣé first ló máa jẹ́ yẹn? 1st of November. Báyìí pé first ló máa jẹ́ but màá post yẹ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún ṣe revelation àti exposition lórí Western world against us in Africa.
Now, you cannot blame the father and the mother for paying tithe. O lè blame àwọn ọmọ náà tó lọ sí school campus tó ń san tithe. Kì í dẹ́n ṣe àwọn bàbá yẹn ló open churches sí campus. Àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ èèyàn Ọlọ́run tó ń jẹ́ ọmọ olùṣọ́àgùtàn tàbí tí Ọlọ́run kọ sí ló ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ fellowship. Àtayédáyé láti ní fellowship ní campus. So if people are encouraged to support with their tithe or with their offering, it's for the purpose of ìgbàgbọ́ gospel. Ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá dẹ̀ gbógun ti irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀, ó gbógun ti ra ẹ̀, ó gbógun ti iṣan ara ẹ̀, ó gbógun ti egungun ara ẹ̀, ó gbógun ti omi ẹ̀jẹ̀ ara ẹ̀, ó gbógun ti ìgbésí ayé ara ẹ̀. Ìyẹn láyé ẹlòmíì ṣe scatter tí kò lè tọ́jú ọmọ, tí kò lè sanwó ọmọ, tí ò lè fẹ́yàwó sílé, tó ń ṣe bí wèrè káàkiri, tó ń ṣe kátàkátà káàkiri táwọn èèyàn rò pé èèyàn gidi ni. So o ò lè gbógun ti ohun tí Ọlọ́run fi sílẹ̀ as liturgical issues, doctrinal issues. Bẹ́ẹ̀ o lè gbógun ti ìwà ìbàjẹ́ bí ká báyàn sùn, ká fún yàn lóyún, àbí kí bá sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ ìjọ lóyún, kó fáwọn èèyàn lóyún ní kwaya, àbí kó fún yàn oníyàwó ló kó gba oníyàwó. O lè gbógun ti yẹn, gbogbo èèyàn á support ẹ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá forí gbé ṣe, o tó bá ń ṣe bí jàǹdùkú yìí tó ń pariwo, tó ń ṣépè, tó ń lu tébù, tó ń forí gbálẹ̀, tó ń forí dólẹ̀, kò sí nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀. Now wàá tún wá gbọ́ nǹkan tí another àgbàlagbà tó sọ nípa àwọn tó ń ṣépè, tún gbọ́ nǹkan tí bàbá yìí náà sọ nípa àwọn tó ń ṣépè. Kò gbọ́ bí èpè ṣe máa ń jà, nǹkan tí èpè jẹ́, oríṣi ọ̀nà tí èpè máa ń gbà ṣiṣẹ́, bí èpè ṣe máa ń, ohun tí èpè máa ń gbọ́ kó tó ṣiṣẹ́.
Ẹni ń bú àgbàlagbà, ó gbọ́mọ sí, ó gbé yìí sí, ṣé òun fẹ́ gbé sáyé ni? Ó tún wá ń sọ láàárín èdè ẹnu ara ẹ̀ pé bóun bá kú lọ́la, ṣé òun gbà pé òun tún lè kú lọ́la? Kí ṣe nìkan ló máa gbé òun sí ni?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, èèyàn ló máa gbé sí.
Ṣé ó lè fúnra ẹ̀ gbéra ẹ̀ sí tó bá kú?
No sir.
Ẹ fìyẹn lẹ̀ ń gbà yẹn. Bí ènìyàn ìkà, ẹni bí tó bá wà lẹ́yìn fẹ́ǹsì tó ń sọ̀kò sínú ọjà, alọ́rẹ̀ o.
Tó wà ní ọjà yẹn.
Mọ̀ lálọ́rẹ̀ sẹ́ẹ̀. Ènìyàn ìkà, ẹni dédé lọ sọ̀kò sínú ọjà kì í ṣe ìkà ni.
Ìkà ni sà. Torí àwọn orí pọ̀ ní ọjà.
That is it. Á dẹ̀ tó wá lọ́rẹ̀. Fọ́ orí wọn dànù, àwọn ọlọ́mọ ariwo tó pa, àwọn ọlọ́mọ tó kí ló dé? Òtí tó lọ léwọ̀n kankan. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ló máa lọ́ta. Ẹ̀wọ̀n tíbẹ̀ dájẹ́ nǹkan kankan lè sọ pé onímọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ òfo ló wà ní orí ẹ̀. Òfo.
Ẹyẹ òfo ló ń ké lórí ẹ̀.
Ìfẹ́ lòfo bà sí. Irun ẹ̀ yágayàga òfo ló bà sórí ẹ̀ mẹ́ tó ń ké òfo.
Ká máa bú bàbá, irú bàbá Adébóyè.
Mi ò dárúkọ àwọn àgbààgbà tó ju bàbá ẹ̀ lọ. Tó lòun bú wọn tó ń ṣépè fún wọn. Òfo ló wà lórí ẹ̀. Ẹ lè rò pé bàbá ẹ̀ ló ṣépè kó má jẹ́ kó jẹ́ pé orí bàbá ẹ̀ ló ń ṣe èpè sí. Àdúrà wa gbà bàbá.
Àmín, àmín.
Ẹ fìyẹn lẹ̀. Àwọn tí ò ní mọ̀ ni. Tí ò ní mọ̀ ni. Ẹni bá ní ìmọ̀ kò lè máa gbé irú bàbá ẹ̀ ṣépè. Kí ló ṣe fún? Ọmọ tó ní bàbá wọn ò là.
Ọmọ tó ní bàbá wọn lówó lọ́wọ́.
Èmi ilé ayé náà rèé.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sà.
Ẹnu ẹ̀ náà láwàá yìí.
Wọ́n ní alágẹmọ ti bímọ ẹ̀.
Very good.
Àìmọ́jú.
Ó kù sọ́wọ́ ẹ̀.
Alágẹmọ ṣe bàbá. Kí ni Áfíríkà kẹsọ èpè torí àwọn Yorùbá gbàgbé pé àwọn èèyàn kan tẹ̀ wá tẹ́ pé aborídèpè nù ni wọ́n. Ṣé ẹni tí ó ń gbègbè ayé èpè tó ń ṣépè tó kàn ju èpè ǹjẹ́ nǹkan kan wà tó yẹ pé ó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìgbẹ̀yìn sí onítọ̀hún tí ó bá kíyèsára?
Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe wí yìí, ká kọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípa àwọn kan wà tí Ọlọ́run dá fún ara ẹ̀, bẹ́ẹ̀ kàn gbé wọn ṣépè, àdúrà ní tiwọn o. Àwọn kan dẹ̀ wà tó jẹ́ pé ẹni èpè ni wọ́n, bó kàn ń ṣàdúrà fún wọn, èpè ni wọ́n o, èpè ní jà wọ́n o.
Èpè ni ó máa jà wọ́n.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìyẹn dúró nìyẹn, ṣùgbọ́n èpè kò bímọ rè, bí ò bí àdánù á bí òfò.
Bí kò bí àdánù á bí òfò.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni èpè tí èpè máa ń bí nìyẹn. Ìdí nìyẹn tá a fi máa ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa, tá a fi ń wàásù. Ẹ yé gbéra yín ṣépè, ẹ má bàa jìyà àìmọ̀dí. Àwọn èdè kan tilẹ̀ wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n fẹ́ràn èpè púpọ̀. Kọ́ máa fi èpè bára wọn ṣàwàdà, kọ́ máa fi èpè bára wọn jẹ ẹ̀wọ̀. Ohun tó burú jáì ni. Àwọn tó ń gbàdúrà tó ń lọ orí òkè tó ń lọ kínní, wọ́n sì ń gbàdúrà àdúrà sì ń bẹ lọ́hùn, àwọn ojú Ọlọ́run. Àmọ́ sílẹ̀ ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yìí tó jẹ́ pé ìṣẹ́jú èpè. Ọlọ́run ní fèpè jà wá.
Àmín.
Kò dẹ̀ ní jà ìran wa.
Àmín.
Mo rí i pé èdìdí wà ń bẹ̀.
Èdìdí
wà ń bẹ̀. Ẹ wo àwọn ìtàn tí a bá láyé nígbà tí ọ̀rọ̀ débi ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn bàbá wa kan síwájú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Wọ́n sọ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn bí èpè lánàá, ó dẹ̀ ṣẹ.
Now o ti gbọ́ yẹn náà sìn, o ti gbọ́ pẹ̀lú bàbá yẹn sọ, o rí pé ọ̀rọ̀ kì í ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ràgó, ṣe o rí pé nǹkan tó tí òye ó pọ̀ ju nǹkan tó yé ẹ lọ, nǹkan tó yé ó pọ̀ ju tó yé ẹ lọ. O need the help, o need the reform, o need ìwẹ̀ odò, o need ìwẹ̀ odò tó ń ṣàn, o need àwọn olùṣọ́àgùntàn tó ń gbàdúrà fún ẹ, o need ìtọrọ ìdáríjì lọ àwọn tó fẹnu bú, àwọn tó ṣépè fún. Mi ò ní kó má bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣépè again o, torí mo mọ̀ bí trademark ẹni, mo ti sọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe ẹ́, NPD, mo ti sọ àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣe àti analyze ẹ̀, tẹ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ bá gọ́gùlẹ̀ wọ́n á rí pé gbogbo nǹkan yẹn ló ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú nǹkan tó ń ṣe, bó ṣe ń ṣe nǹkan. The moment people, you know, in life, when you are angry with people, you don't need to be angry with them at times, just understand them. The moment you understand, even if you marry a wife, don't suffer from NPD. The moment you can see those qualities in her, is either you avoid her and you cohabitate with her with diplomacy, or you totally forfeit the relationship. When you know this kind of people, you avoid them. Anybody tẹ́rí tó máa ń pọ́n nǹkan ní nǹkan lé, tó máa ń fẹ́nu bà nǹkan tiẹ̀ jẹ́, kẹ́tì mọ̀ pé ó ń suffer from that special emotional disease, narcissistic personality disorder. Ọlọ́dẹ orí ni. Ẹni tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ school àwọn cousin ẹ̀ tó ń kọrin school wọn, fẹ́ẹ́ gbé school tiẹ̀. Nísìn ẹ máa rá àwọn pictures ìgbà tó ń ṣe 40 years, ẹni ẹ ti send ẹ̀, then ẹ jẹ́ ká jẹ́kẹ̀ wo àwọn pictures ìgbà tó ń ṣe 40 years ní school yẹn ní Humani Alága secondary school, formerly Ìbàdàn formerly Sango High School Ìbàdàn. Ẹ wo bí school yẹn ṣe rí, ẹ wo bí Rotimi ṣe rí ní ìgbà yẹn, nígbà tó wá bá wọn ṣe kinní yẹn, but kò ní ever sọ̀rọ̀ school yẹn torí lójú ara ẹ̀ school yẹn ò pọ́n lé. Ẹ wo àwọn pictures yẹn. now ẹ̀yin náà ti rí àwọn pictures yẹn bó ṣe rí, ẹ rí bó ṣe rí àwọn pictures yẹn, ẹ rí i pé ó wọ irun tó normal, ó ṣe béèyàn tó normal. Then nǹkan kan àkíyèsí kan, ẹ rí i pé àwọn special people, àwọn kan wà tó fún ní ipò nínú 40 year yẹn, ẹ wá bèrè kí ló tí wọ́n fóun bóyá social secretary kan tẹ̀lé kò tẹ̀ ṣe nǹkan fún wọn. Torí èmi ń sìn tí n bá ṣe nǹkan pẹ̀lú alma mater mi tí mo jẹ́ alumni, màá wà ní media, I will do something because wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé media ni mò ń ṣe, I will promote them, I put them in papers. Kò sí nǹkan tí n bá ṣe ibi tí bá wà, ìgbà mo wà ní church kan tẹ́lẹ̀, anything lójó wọn media, gbà tí mo wà ní parish kan, gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ parish yẹn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, parish tí ìyá tó bí Ṣèyí Tinubu ń lọ, parish yẹn mi ò fẹ́ dárúkọ ẹ̀. Ní ọdọọdún tá a bá ń ṣèkórè, èmi mo wà in charge media, láti Radio Lagos dé Èkó FM dé paper dé blog, anything èmi ni mò ń gbé, wọ́n fi mí síbẹ̀. Mo tún débi kan tí mo tún ṣe room kan tó fi mí sórí brochure, but ẹ rí i pé nígbà tó ń ṣe 40th anniversary Ìbàdàn high school tó ń pè ní Kòmánì Alágànsìn, wọ́n fi Rotimi sí, Rotimi kan wá as a common visitor, ó wá just like any other student, kì í ṣe pé wọ́n fi sínú àwọn officials kan organize. Then nínú tẹ campus school yẹn, wọ́n ní school yẹn gan need help, pé school yẹn ó ń jẹ ìyà, school yẹn ní àwọn problem tó ń face. Kí ló dé tí Rotimi ò lo ipò ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ajàfẹ́tọ̀ọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn tó pera ẹ̀, tí ó kúkú arrange àwọn alumni, strong alumni, kán dẹ̀ ṣe nǹkan, ó pè jáde pé school mi rèé o, bí mo jáde rè, bọ̀ kàkà bẹ́ẹ̀ àbí kó máa gbòkìkí Methodist, kó máa kọrin Methodist school àwọn cousin ẹ̀, kó máa sọ pé òun lọ ṣọdídé ń bẹ̀, òun lọ lọdídé ń bẹ̀. So but wo bí tí wọ́n ti jáde, then ẹ bèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ kí ló dé táwọn parents ṣe mú kó ní Lọ́yọ̀lá tó jẹ́ a very touche school tó ní tó wà highly octane school, high class, upscale, wọ́n mú lọ sí irú Ìbàdàn náà local government, a popular school. Àní school yẹn bàdó, but school àwọn ọmọ à ń bẹ Ọlọ́run, a sọ pé ó bàdó, àwa náà most of us náà lọ ru school bẹ́ẹ̀ o, àfihàn wọn is one of the best schools o, but à ń sọ wípé ẹni tó lọ ru school yẹn tó bá jẹ́ ẹni àpọ́nlé tó pọ́n ibẹ̀ yẹn lé, a máa sọ, a máa pọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ lé. So nǹkan pọ̀ ṣá find out because ẹni yẹn ti send pictures wa, but there are a lot of other things. Gbogbo ní tẹ́ bá fẹ́ mọ̀, just find him, you will discover that a lot of things he's saying are just hoax, nothing to write home about, nothing big, nothing edible. Then he's coming out to say he's fighting the church. Then he has reputational crisis and all that. Then rounding it up, you go back to Godfather, gbogbo voice notes, Godfather gbogbo tó ti sọ̀rọ̀, ẹ wá bèrè lọ́ra yín pé ṣé èèyàn lélẹ̀. Even gan ó dé level kan, Godfather tó pè rẹ̀ ní ọ̀rẹ́ yìí tọ́jọ́ conspire, tọ́jọ́ ń wá ọ̀nà láti bà reputation of Adébáyọ̀ jẹ́, Prophet Ṣẹ́gun Adébáyọ̀. Ó débi kan ìgbà tó rán Ṣokotí, kí Ṣokotí náà máa gbé òun jáde, tó pàṣẹ fún bàbá àgbàlagbà yẹn, ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣépè fún bàbá yẹn.
Hello Ṣokotí, mo fún ẹ ní 24 hours. Fídíò yẹn kò lọ yọ kúrò lórí cyberspace ẹ. Tó bá dẹ̀ doubt ẹ̀, má yọ kúrò. Èmi ló lé ọ̀rọ̀ tèmi dàbí ọ̀rọ̀ amúgbó. Èmi ló sọ pé ó ń ṣe bí onígangan. Ṣèbí ìjẹta mo lè sọ fún ẹ pé the next president of America is going to be a female. Ṣorí ìjọ tó bá ti swear in as female president, ìjọ yẹn ni máa gégùn fún ẹ, mo dẹ̀ máa san nǹkan tó máa ṣe àtàwọn ìdílé ẹ. Ṣorí ẹni tí ó rà nínú àwọn ìdílé ajẹnu ẹ, olórí burúkú old fool ni ẹ, ìwọ Ṣokotí. So nítorí pé mo ò ní church, mo ò ṣe pastor, mo ò ṣe wòlíì, Ọlọ́run ò lè rányàn. Ibi tọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ yìí ti ṣí nìyẹn. Ṣorí wọ gan gbogbo ibi tó ti gba ìdè, o máa tẹ́ńbẹ̀ tó bá lọ yọ fídíò yẹn kúrò within 24 hours. Látòdì ọ̀run lọ ti rán mi pé kí n sọ fún ẹ. Archangel Raguela látòdì ọ̀run ni mí, ṣèbámugbó ni mí, ayírí ni mí, ká máa wòran. Ṣèbí within the next 4 months, American president ọmọ àṣẹ election, àdẹ́wẹ̀ tó máa wà ń bẹ̀, ìgbà yẹn ló máa rẹ́ lẹ́yẹ̀. Mo dẹ̀ ti sọ fún ẹ, kó tó kú, bó kú 2 hours kó kú, wàá ya wèrè ṣá ni, ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run ò lè ṣaláì má ṣe. Bóhùn ẹ kó lọ máa ké ìrun wákàtí 5 ẹ, bóhùn ẹ kó lọ sí Mẹ́kà, kó lọ sí Mọ́dínà. Má gbàgbé o, mo ò sọ fún ẹ pé pásítọ̀ ni mí, mo ò sọ fún ẹ pé wòlíì ni mí, mo ò sọ fún ẹ pé àfáà ni mí, mo ò dẹ̀ sọ fún ẹ pé aláwo lè mí. Mo tún sọ fún ẹ lẹ́nìí, màláìkà látòdì ọ̀run, Archangel Raguela ló bẹ́ẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀, àlàáfíà ni.
And most of them wọ́n respect o ló ń lò ẹ wá béèrè pé irú àwọn ọmọ ọ̀ràn wọn lélẹ̀ dé pé bàbá yẹn nídà ti dá godfather lóhùn láti ṣépè fún padà láti sọ pé n tó ń ṣe yóò dáa tó dẹ̀ fún ní ọ̀rọ̀ tó dẹ̀ ta àṣẹ fún.
Sàpọ̀nà ló máa pa ẹ́, sàpọ̀nà ló máa pa ẹ́. Tó bá fẹ́ fi wá ẹni tó fi popular ó sì wá àwọn ará ilé yín lọ, ó sì wá kan náà bàbá ẹ̀ pé kó náà wá sórí YouTube kó máa ṣe irú nǹkan tí mo ń ṣe. Ó ya wèrè ní orí ẹ̀ burú ni. Kí ni tèmi pẹ̀lú ẹ̀? Kí ni tèmi pẹ̀lú ẹ̀? Kí ló kàn mí pẹ̀lú ẹ̀? Ṣé ò tí ì ya wèrè báyìí? Ṣé ò tí ì mọ bugijẹ báyìí pẹ̀lú bó ṣe ṣe? Sẹ́nìkan ní láti sọ fún ẹ pé ó ya wèrè kó tó mọ̀ pé ó ti ya wèrè.
The same godfather tó ń lọ káàkiri tó ń wá ogo blogger pé kán lè máa gbé òun síta tó yẹ pé the only blogger tó dá lóhùn the only person tó dá lóhùn ní Rotimi Daniel ló sọ di ọba. Eventually wọ́n jọ jà báyìí látijọ́ yìí tí wọ́n ti jọ jà. Rotimi ṣe fídíò burúkú lé lórí ká tó mọ tó ṣẹlẹ̀ within 24 hours ló ti sáré gbé fídíò yẹn wálẹ̀ torí kò lẹ́ẹ̀mí ẹ̀ láti bá godfather jà. Ẹ̀yin náà máa gbọ́ kí èèyàn máa sọ yé kí àwọn ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run wá bá òun ní London, kí bàbá Adébóyè wá bá òun, wọ́n gbé jet wá bá òun fún meeting, kí Kúmúyì náà gbé jet kó wá bá òun, kí Prọfẹ̀tà Adébáyọ̀ àti wọ́n Tìbẹ̀tàn kó wá bá òun ní London, mo fẹ́ ṣe meeting pẹ̀lú wọn kó máa bọ̀, òun ni Olúwa, òun ni olùgbàlà, òun ni ẹni náà tó ń sọ, òun ti dé. Dẹ̀ tó bá ń sọ ẹ̀ máa gbọ́ bó ṣe wọn máa dún. Irú àwọn èèyàn wo rèé? Ibo la ti rí wọn? Àwọn tó yẹ kí wọ́n mú kọ́ mú wọn lọ sí Ìyásẹ̀ Kétu láyé ìgbà yẹn ní CAC ní Ìyásẹ̀ ní tó ń sọ wèrè wọn, kọ́ sọ wọn mọ́bẹ̀ kọ́ máa gbàdúrà fún wọn títí tí kìnìún máa fi kúrò lára wọn. Àwọn tí wọ́n nídìí ká kó wọn lọ sí Ìyásẹ̀ ní CAC Olúbánjọ Center Ìyásẹ̀ Kétu kọ́ lọ sọ wọn mọ́bẹ̀ kọ́ gbàdúrà kọ́ kọ́ àwọn aládùúrà tiwọn. Àwọn yìí náà wá ń sọ̀rọ̀ náà kóra wọn sórí íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì tó ń bú àwọn ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run.
Mo sọ pé gbogbo àwọn pásítọ̀ tó wà ní Nàìjíríà antichrist ni wọ́n, kẹ́nìbọ̀dì bọ́ta kó wá challenge ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin náà sì ẹ ti dàbí ọmọ ará Jerusalem. Tẹ́yìn Nàìjíríà tẹ́ bá bẹ̀ mí mo ò ní gbà. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà tí mo ti sọ pé mi gangan ni Ọlọ́run táwọn èèyàn máa fi ń bú mi, mo tún jẹ́wọ́ ara mi fún yín, mo review ara mi láti sọ fún yín pé gbogbo àwọn general overseer ní Nàìjíríà antichrist ni wọ́n. Irú àmì mo lẹ tún fẹ́ rí tí kò sí kankan nu wọn tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ bí aláya anybody wọn rí kó sọ̀rọ̀. Mo challenge wọn, just one person kó jáde kó sọ̀rọ̀. Tẹ́ bá wá létà tẹ́ bá wá bẹ̀ mí mo ò ní gbà. Tẹ́ mọ̀ pé mo sọ sí.
Ó ní ẹ wá wo sinimá o lóríta, ẹ wá wo sinimá o, wèrè ló ń wàásù, ẹ wá wòran, ẹ wá wo sinimá o lóríta, ẹ wá wo sinimá o, wèrè ló ń wàásù, ẹ wá wòran. Ẹ gbọ́ gbogbo àwọn voice over yẹn step by step, kẹ wá wo àwọn kan tá a ti sọ, kẹ wá calculate ẹ, kẹ wá mọ ohun tí a ní lọ́wọ́ wa. Then ẹ lọ wo Rotimi náà, ẹ wo ohun tó ń ṣe. Gbogbo ẹ̀ náà kò sẹ́ni tó rí tiẹ̀ rò mọ́ because everybody ti mọ̀. Ẹ gbogbo ẹ̀yin onígbàgbọ́ tẹ́ ẹ ń páyà, kí lẹ̀ ń páyà fún? Ẹ jáde, ẹ ja ìjà ìgbàgbọ́, ẹ sọ nǹkan tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ sọ. Kí lẹ̀ ń bẹ̀rù? For a long time ó ti yé wa gbogbo tó ń lọ àti rí. So ohun tó bá dẹ̀ ní go bad, ó bá fẹ́ investigate anybody ó lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe anything tó bá wẹ̀. But mọ̀ dájú wípé you will pay dearly for it. You will never go scot-free. I promise you. Àdàbí tí kì bá ṣe Jésù ló fi wọlẹ̀. Àdàbí tí kì bá ń ṣe àwọn ẹni ìpè ló ń gbéṣẹ́ pè. Àdàbí tí kì bá ń ṣe orúkọ Ọlọ́run alààyè ló fi ń ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́. Àdàbí tí kì bá ń ṣe Ọlọ́run fún ara ẹ̀ ló ń kọlù. Wàá jẹ iyán ẹni ṣu. Àyàfi tí o bá tètè jáwọ́ kó mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe ń sìn. Bí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ wàá jẹ iyán ẹni ṣu. Àtiwọ́ àti àwọn tó ń bá ẹ tó ń kórajọ pẹ̀lú ẹ, gbogbo àwọn tó ti yẹra fún ẹ ìbùkún ni fún wọn, àwọn tó ti sún sẹ́yìn fún ìbùkún ni fún wọn, gbogbo àwọn tó sọ pé àwọn gba kẹ̀mbẹ́ nídìí Jésù, Ọlọ́run á dáríjì gbogbo yín, Ọlọ́run á ṣàánú gbogbo yín o, Ọlọ́run á rà yín padà o. Kò sẹ́ni tó lè gba kẹ̀mbẹ́ nídìí Jésù. Jésù ni Olúwa, Jésù ni olùgbàlà, Jésù ni balógun ìgbàgbọ́ gbogbo wa. Gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá dẹ̀ wá bẹnu àtẹ́lu Jésù, ó kù ìdájọ́, ó kù nǹkan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ sí. Tẹ́ bá gbọ́ Godfather dáadáa ń sìn, tẹ́ gbọ́ Godfather, mo fẹ́ kí ẹ pay a very distinctive attention sí analysis àárín àwọn méjì. Ẹ rí i pé nǹkan kan ló so Godfather àti Rotimi Daniel pọ̀. that is Simon Badejo àti Rotimi Daniel kí ló so wọ́n pọ̀ èpè then tí wọ́n bá ti ń wá nǹkan tí wọ́n bá ti rí nǹkan yẹn they become so frustrated and in their frustration they mischieve, they misbehave, and they appear to want to destroy or collapse the whole structure. Ìgbà tí Rotimi Daniel ìgbà tí Godfather tó try láti reach out sí mi tó ṣe gbogbo ọgbọ́n tó send voice note káàkiri almost 3 to 4 people tí ò rí mi bá sọ̀rọ̀.
Hello, Mr. Asabe TV. I've been trying to look for your number because I live in ìlú òyìnbó ni mò ń gbé, London, ní UK. Mo ti mọ Maureen for the past 4 years. Nígbà tí coronavirus bẹ̀rẹ̀, unfortunately Badejo lòun náà jẹ́, and ó ti pè mí many couple of times tàdé ti sọ̀rọ̀. Ìjọba kọ́kọ́ pè mí jọ́ tí mo sọ nípa Genesis ipò máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n. Mo sọ níbi June. Genesis ṣẹ̀wọ̀n ní before the end of the year, and I was so specific around the time tó máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n olúborí náà. Àníjọ́ tí Maureen Badejo máa pè mí, the first time ọkọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé ṣọmọ babaláwo ni mí ni. Mo dẹ̀ fẹ́ mú pé mo ṣọmọ babaláwo. But to cut the long story short, I'm 50 years, mo gbélé ayé for 50 years láti mọ̀ wọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn up till now. Ìwọ ọmọ àwọn adárinrun kò yé mi. Ṣé wá rí nǹkan tó ṣàdé ń pẹ̀ ní pé gbogbo àwọn ta tún gbójúlé ta rò gbé yàn lọ́run, àgàgà Adébáyọ̀ tó tú àṣírí tibẹ̀ tán, òun náà pè mí níbi 3 weeks ago. Asabe TV mo mọ̀ bóyá ọ sọ fún yín pẹ̀ àdẹ̀sọ̀rọ̀, mo dẹ̀ sọ fún ọjọ́ tó máa pè mí, mo níṣẹ́ tí ń retí pé ṣé ń retí pé ọdún sọ fún yín pé yàn kan ń bọ̀ tó máa pè yín látòdì ọ̀run, pé ṣé tí ń retí Olúwẹ̀. Bàbá yẹn dẹ̀ sọ lọ́jọ́ náà pé tòótọ́ ní pọ́n tí ń retí Olúwẹ̀. Àdẹ̀sọ̀rọ̀ ìjọ́ tó máa pè mí 4 o'clock lóru ní Nigerian time and UK time lọ pé mi àwọn òun sùn òun. Ìbàtọ́ dẹ̀ pè mí asọ̀rọ̀ but mo kàn rí pé ọ ní pé wọ́n máa pè mí ní àárọ̀ ọjọ́ kejì ní 6:30. Mo dẹ̀ pé Adébáyọ̀ for good 10 days ni mo fi ń pè tí ó gbé call.
The next thing ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣépè. The next thing ó ní pé ọmọ òun máa ṣàìsàn dojú ikú, wọn máa gbọ́ ọmọ òun káàkiri. The next thing ó lọ́mọ òun ti wọnú ẹgbẹ́ ayé pé ọmọ òun ò ṣe dáadáa mọ́.
Asabe, ìwọ ló ń promote àwọn evil people tó ń jẹ́ nítorí pé o ti ní voice, òun ló wọ́n ọ̀ ń tẹnu ẹ ọ̀ ń lo platform ẹ tó tẹ fi ń ṣe àwọn ènìyàn lọ́nà. Asabe, láìpẹ́ yìí àìsàn máa ṣí ẹ tó máa ṣọ́ gbogbo àgbáyé tí wọ́n gan tó lè ṣe program mọ́.
Then ìgbà tó rí pé òun lè lo Maureen Badejo náà, the same thing èpè náà ni pé wọn lè gbóhùn ẹ̀ mọ́. Even Rotimi Daniel at a particular time nígbà tí Maureen try láti reach out sí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ a particular pastor tó ń handle nígbà yẹn, wọ́n sọ lórí program ẹ̀ pé Maureen ológo àná. You can imagine pé Maureen Badejo ológo àná. That is how confident and how gullible and how silly these guys are. Then ẹ rí i pé nígbà tí ó try baba Adébáyọ̀ náà tó try láti control mind wọn, ìyẹn Godfather Simon Badejo játijàti, ìgbà tó try láti control mind wọn tó rí pé òun ò rí nǹkan kan ṣe sí, he started abusing the old man, he started criticizing the man, he started castigating the man, he started saying all sort of abusive words, trying to rubbish him.
Ìwà Adébáyọ̀ mo mọ̀ pé mo ti send message sí already, mo mọ̀ pé òun dúró kí n deliver message. Adébáyọ̀ mo tún díẹ̀ ìwọ máa bọ̀ London. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí mò ń send ẹ̀ sí tẹ bá gbà Asabe sọ síbẹ̀ wípé Adébáyọ̀ ó jẹ́ kó travel wá sílùú òyìnbó, ó cancel flight ẹ̀. Èmi tí mo sọ fún pé ọ̀bùrẹ̀ kó wá sílùú òyìnbó nìyẹn. Wípé tó bá wá British government máa hand over fún British government nítorí àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó sọ nípa British government. Adébáyọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ èdè bọ́ǹkẹ̀ tó bá jẹ́ pé rọ́ ni. Ta ló mọ̀ pé flood máa wọ everywhere? Ìkà ni gbogbo yín. O ti lówó tó máa ní òòdẹ̀gbẹ́nu ẹ dákẹ́. Kó máa ṣorí burúkú ẹ ní ṣọ̀ṣẹ́. Kò yẹ predict rubbish fáwọn èèyàn. Ta ló mọ̀ pé Amẹ́ríkà máa dàrú? Ok, jẹ́ kí n wá ṣọ́ọ̀kì yín. Nǹkan tó bá mú Biden kò step down. tí obìnrin bá rọ́pò Biden, that will be the first female president in America. That is if Biden, tọ́lọ́n bá lè wọnú Biden, tí Biden bá step down, kó wọn run as president. But the only person tó lè stop gbogbo war tó wà lágbàáyé as at today is this guy. Kí lorúkọ ẹ̀? Èyí tó shoot of recent yìí, orúkọ wọn kò kí interest me. Ìyẹn Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the only man born of woman as at today that can stop the whole war. That doesn't mean he's a man of God too. That doesn't mean that Ọlọ́run ló rán. But it's the only person. Cartel ni gbogbo wọn. They are all evil people. Adébáyọ̀, mo tún sọ fún ẹ lẹ́nu mo díẹ̀ wọ́n máa bọ̀ ní London tó bá gbé ẹ. Tìbásáde sọ epo cancel trip. Why did you cancel your trip? It was because of the prophecy I gave you. So why are you people deceiving people?
You notice one pattern with them. Wọ́n kọ́ wá pẹ̀lú wọ́n máa respect, wọ́n máa regard, wọ́n máa respect. Tó bá ti rí pé you are not shifting your ground, then they start using they start desecrating your image, they start rubbishing you. Then rí pé ìgbà tó kọ́ wá sọ̀rọ̀ bàbá Ṣokotí náà tó tún try láti wọlé síbẹ̀ yẹn náà, he came with a respectful tendency, he came with a respectful attitude. Ìgbà tó rí pé òun try láti lórí bàbá Ṣokotí tó ń try láti lórí bàbá yẹn tí bàbá yẹn ò publish àwọn nǹkan tó fẹ́ láti jẹ́ kí bàbá yẹn mọ̀ bí Ọlọ́run lòun dàbí pángẹ́lì kan tó wá láti ibì kan lòun dàbí òun lòun máa sọ sí Pastor Adébóyè of Redeemed Christian Church of God. Ìgbà tó rí bàbá yẹn ò fẹ́ lo gbogbo kíní yẹn ó tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lo fún bàbá yẹn ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣépè fún bàbá yẹn ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní command bàbá yẹn. So you ask yourself, what kind of a set of people are this? Who are they? What do they stand for? What are they looking for in the community of sane people? In the community of sane people, what are they looking for? They are sick people. They're intellectually shabby. They are emotionally bruised. They have what we call mass hypnotism. They are hypnotized to their fake tendencies, and they have what we call intellectual paralysis. Their intellect is highly paralyzed to the reality of life, paralyzed to the ethics of religion, paralyzed to the what can I call it? The frailty of time itself. They are very, very horrible in thinking. They don't have a common sense and they have no regard for humanity. They pretend to support and to promote humanity. So there is a correlation between Godfather and Rotimi Daniel, and that's why war. There's affinity. There is a sense of friendship. There is a sense of relationship. Nígbà tí Rotimi Daniel bàjà nínú gbogbo àwọn tí Rotimi Daniel bàjà ó ṣe fídíò lé lórí. Within 24 hours he pulled down the video because I think he feels a sense of duty and loyalty and worship towards Simon Badejo, who calls him a godfather, but kò sí ẹni tó ju Jésù lọ láyé yìí, kò sí ẹni tó Jésù. Ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá fira ìwé Jésù òkú ni. Ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá sọ pé òun jẹ́ Jésù àbí òun jẹ́ nǹkan kan tàbí òun ju Jésù lọ tàbí òun jẹ́ Ọlọ́run tàbí òun jẹ́ nìkan, aṣiwèrè tó ń gbórí ẹ̀gbóná kiri ni, aṣiwèrè játijàti ni. So you should keep listening and find out more about these people. Listen to Rotimi Daniel. Listen to the way he talks to people. Listen to the way he reasons. Listen to the way he gesticulates. Listen to Simon Badejo, who calls himself Godfather. Listen to the way he reasons. Listen to the way he gesticulates. Listen to the way he even laughs. Ẹ rí pé brain yẹn ń gbọ̀n. Ẹni tí ọpọlọ yẹn ń gbọ̀n ni. So ó nídìí ìtọ́jú ńlá. Òun àti arákùnrin ẹ̀ tọ́jọ́ ń bá Jésù jà, tọ́jọ́ ń gbá kẹ̀mbẹ̀ nídìí Jésù, wọ́n nídìí ìtọ́jú ńlá. So that's the only thing. I think Christians should look at this. People of faith should look at this, and all of us should just watch them as they crash themselves in no time. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún oore ọ̀fẹ́ nínú ayé wa. Gbogbo wa láti gbọ́ gbogbo nǹkan tá a lè sọ látara àti gbogbo voice note tí wèrèwèrè Godfather ń sọ, gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń sọ, ẹ̀rí pé kò bá yé mu, kò bá ọ̀run mu, kò bá nǹkan kan mu. Gbogbo nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe nìkan pàṣẹ. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ ti rí òun àti Rotimi wọ́n ṣe máa jọ ń kira wọn, wọ́n ṣe ń sára wọn, wọ́n ṣe ń gbéra wọn wọlé lórí program, wọ́n ṣe máa jọ ń fa ọ̀ránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run ṣe ẹ̀yẹ. So ẹ wá wò ó pé ǹjẹ́ lè yẹ ìgbàgbọ́, ǹjẹ́ lè yẹ iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́ àwọn ènìyàn mímọ́, àwọn èèyàn ìpè. Láàárín àwọn èèyàn búburú wà, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn èèyàn tó jẹ́ olóòtítọ́ ńkọ́, àwọn tó jẹ́ èèyàn ìpè ńkọ́. So ìdí tá a fi ṣe léyìí ni pé ó kàn wá gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìwé Ezra ó ló kàn wá ó ní ká ja ìjà yìí torí pé ó ṣe kíni torí pé ó kàn wá ní tí ó bá kàn wá a gbọ́dọ̀ fi pamọ́ ó ní ká dìde ó ní nítorí eléyìí ó ní rise up, this matter is in your hand, take courage and do it. Ezra 10:4, Ecclesiastes 9:10, Galatians 6:9, then 1 Corinthians 9:16. ó ní tèmi kò bá ṣe mo gbé Paul sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. So a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe, a gbọ́dọ̀ jà, a gbọ́dọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀, a gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kó yí àwọn aláìmọ̀kan wípé wèrè ló ń wàásù lórí ìta. Ká kàn wá wòran, tá bá wòran tá bá gbọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká kọjú síṣẹ́ ìgbàgbọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká kọjú síṣẹ́ ìgbàgbọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká kọjú síṣẹ́ ìgbàgbọ́. Then máa parí pé ó ní I will go on, my past left behind me, in his mercy, his love, in his peace, in his joy, eternal life, I'm his own, he is mine. I will go on, I will go on, I will go on, my past left behind me, in his hand and his love, in his peace, in his joy, eternal life, I'm his own, he is mine. I will go on. God will continue to help us. God will continue to guide us. God will continue to endow us with the knowledge to face the challenges and the darts of the enemy. And by the special grace of God, the gospel of Jesus Christ will continue to rise. Nobody will shut it down, not with any dirty orientation, not with any unfortunate education, but by the stripe of the blood of Jesus on the mountain of Calvary, we shall always rise and we shall always comfort. Fún àwọn bàbá Adébáyọ̀, Professor Adébáyọ̀ àti àwọn ìránṣẹ́ Ọlọ́run tí ìpè wà lórí wọn, ẹ jọ̀wọ́ bàbá wa, ẹ má ṣàbínú. Ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀ yìí pé eléyìí ni ohun tí Bíbélì sọ. Wọ́n mú Bíbélì wọ́n mú ṣẹ ní gẹ́gẹ́ bàbá Adébáyọ̀ ṣe sọ nígbà tí ẹnìkan bú wọn. Ó ní is fulfilling the Bible, is fulfilling the word of God. They call of fílẹ̀ nítorí wípé mọ́tìmọ́lé kò mú nǹkan dání, ṣùgbọ́n nínú ohun tó sọ òun fúnra rẹ̀ ti wà ní àtìmọ́lé, ti wà ní àhámọ́, ti wà nínú àhámọ́ ìdájọ́. Tó bá yá ayé ara ẹ̀ náà lè rí nsìn tí àwọn fàájá tó wọ́n ń fa Rotimi já, tó ń fàájá, tó ń fàájá jálajàla. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣe máa fàájá mọ̀ because àwọn kan wà tẹ̀ ṣe máa gbọ́ ẹ̀kan gba analysis nípa ẹ̀ lénìí àti nǹkan tó ṣe fún bàbá Adébáyọ̀. Then mo tún jáde láti clear àwọn nǹkan tèmi mọ̀ nípa nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀, pàápàá jùlọ pẹ̀lú àwọn obìnrin tó ń fi ohùn ránṣẹ́ sí pé wọ́n rán àwọn lọ sí ilé alágbo ní Yànàpájà. Kò sí nǹkan tó jọ bí alágbo. Ibi tán ti lọ ṣe nǹkan is called Hilltop Estate ní Aboru. Mo dẹ̀ sọ fún yín pé that place is number 21 Baálẹ̀ Nasir Bakare Street, ọ́fíìsì Lady Evangelist Perehana tó ń ṣe àgbo tó dẹ̀ tó ń ṣe iṣẹ́ ìránṣẹ́. So but nísìnyí mi ò mọ ibi tó wà mọ́ nítorí pé ojú pẹ́ ó ti ríra, nítorí pé àwọn nǹkan tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀, àwọn nǹkan míì tí a fi sábẹ́ oore ọ̀fẹ́ ìdájọ́ Ọlọ́run. So but she has tried in her time, she did well. Then mo dẹ̀ a dẹ̀ ti fi hàn nínú fídíò bí àwọn ọ̀tá ṣe gbógun ti woman yẹn tó yẹ pé bàbá fúnra wọn lọ́ní kan wá tó ń gbàdúrà fún wọn tí ọ̀fà dẹ̀ jáde lára wọn. So bàbá yẹn náà Ọlọ́run tún lò. So báwo la ṣe wí Jésù ò lágbára? So ẹni tó ń ṣàgbo Jésù ló fún lọ́gbọ́n tó fi ń ṣe àgbo. Jésù ló jẹ́ ká àgbo yẹn kó ṣiṣẹ́ lára àwọn èèyàn. Tóun náà bá dẹ̀ wá di pé òun náà níṣòro, wòlíì á ṣiṣẹ́ wòlíì. So Prophet Ṣẹ́gun Adébáyọ̀ is a genuine prophet, is an edible servant of God. Ẹni àmì òróró ni wọ́n. Ṣùgbọ́n nínú ayé ó ní a máa rí ìṣòro tó pọ̀, ṣùgbọ́n ká tújú ká torí pé Ọlọ́run ti ṣẹ́gun ayé. So bàbá testimony pọ̀, ẹ̀yin náà dẹ̀ máa gbọ́ nínú àwọn testimony ẹ̀ báyìí. Ẹ di àwọn testimony ẹ̀ mú, tẹ́ bá ti ń gbọ́ wọn ẹ dì í mú, tẹ́ bá ti ń gbọ́ wọn ẹ dì í mú, kẹ́ fi mọ̀ wípé dájúdájú a ò ní rọ́mọba ká má rí dànsákì ọba lára ẹ̀, a ní rí wòlíì ká má rí àmì wòlíì lára ẹ̀. Ó tún dá báyé tún dá ẹni yìí lóhùn torí pé àwọn èèyàn kan ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní fi wá ṣe ẹ̀yẹ́. Nínú wọn ni wòlíì ta kúrò lọ́dẹ̀, ó sẹ́ndẹ̀ sí wa bí ṣe a rí nǹkan tí Rotimi ń sọ. So kó má bàa dàbí pé a gbé ọ̀rọ̀ àṣìwèrè ga, kó má dàbí pé ṣáṣàbí ò sí ń bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, ṣé kò mọ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ni. Ohun táwa mọ̀ làwa sọ, ẹni tá a mọ̀ ni a ṣe àpọ́nlé fún. Àwọn èèyàn máa ń send oríṣiríṣi story nípa èèyàn máa ń fẹ́nu ba èèyàn jẹ́, ṣùgbọ́n fáwọn tó mọ wòlíì tó mọ ẹni tí Ọlọ́run pè dájúdájú ẹni yóò lè díbàjẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn, nítorí pé ipò oníkálukú yàtọ̀. Fún gbogbo yín lágbàáyé tí ẹ mọ bàbá Adébáyọ̀, Ọlọ́run á máa dúró tì yín. Iṣẹ́ ìríjú yóò ní bàjẹ́, iṣẹ́ ìsìn yóò ní bàjẹ́, orí ọ̀fẹ́ wòlíì kò ní tọ́nú ayé yín, agbára yóò dẹ̀ ní ka yín, lágbára Ọlọ́run ẹ máa dùn àlùyọ. Adúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ yín. We want to thank you so much. We want to appreciate you. We want to thank you, and we want to pray that in this new year, new victories you will earn, new blessings you will earn, and by the Spirit of God, the enemy will not have a say upon your life. You will always triumph, and you always have a cause to glorify and to celebrate God. Thank you. God bless you. Happy New Year.